Welcome. Apologize for the late delay. I had to actually get set up. Romeo needed to see a transcript, and so we are going to go over this is part two. And thank you to the people, pretty much the same number, minus three, that watched the first one and the last one. So, yes, I apologize if that was long. I mean, that is something. I wanted to set the stage for. So, basically, this is going to be a simpler. I kind of caught. See, I look at it from a perspective of you have semi activists or people, but friends of the show and old friends, if they know lore of me and Gray and Patrick, um, it's Dane. Dane and Co. decided to talk about Sweet Baby Inc. Now, if anyone wants to take predictions on what they said in their position. See, I was going to talk about Dane's take on Gamergate, but it was about the less informed as anything. The Nothing Burger it just proves that. I'm like, other things to do. So, this is the one where they talk about it. So, if you see the lack of nuance, and this is the first people's exposure to actual fandom, I mean, I can explain it, but it doesn't go over well. I mean, it's a group, and they believe chuds exist, but I don't know what a chud is. I know what it's supposed to mean, but it has no bearing. And forewarning for people, they believe they're advocates. If you're
Maybe
new
we
to,
should. I was gonna say maybe we should define what chud means, like normally is to like the viewers.
you're right. You're right. You're correct on this. Chud is a basement. It's supposed to be like if someone says something, and it's usually an ugly person. It's a basement dweller. Um, Humanist thing. If you ever see Gray's other show, when I guess Patrick does it, they take the term back. The problem is Dane refers to any channel that's anti-fan channel as a chud channel. See, Remy, are you familiar with this side, like nerd erotic, geeks and gamers, all of them? Who bash on
Yeah,
popular culture.
I guess I
But
would be considered one.
but I have to bear in mind Dane's a little bit of a contrarian,
Hmm.
so slightly. It's not that I keep tabs. I mean, me, Patrick, and Gray still living rent free in our heads, at least Dane's head. But I've moved on from there, and I have a special tomorrow that I will tease later. But going to cover episode three of I think episode three of X Men's out, and we're going to cover both Roadhouses. If you're not familiar with those films, they're both good. So we shall begin. This is just if you're not familiar with Organized Chaos, DJ Eric, but yes. Romeo, if you need to just pause, tell me that. Feel free. This is your first time through meeting them. It's a hell of a show.
This sweet baby shit.
Mm. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of chuddiness going on around it right now.
Yeah.
Remember? Did I say bring a bingo? I should say bring a bingo card.
Maybe we should make one.
See, let me get this straight for people who have never seen Dane before. The fandom menace, right, was coined by Disney when people bash Star Wars sequels. All right? See, Romeo, that's when the fandom menace got coined.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
And it was
No.
Doomcock and a bunch of other people. They embraced the meme. Some people got called chuds. See, and I think you and I would both agree. Products aren't sold without a fandom or a market. You can't
Yeah.
create a market for a market that's not there. So Dane sets himself up as a contrarian and a possible activist. I will see to Grey Poupette's channel if you really want to dig into the little war there, but yeah, we stopped covering him for reasons because it was for his health and our health at the same time, but more his. But they view themselves as crusaders, as liberal nerds in a space. So I hope that sets the stage enough. And Romeo, you've kind of pieced through this, so you at least know this part. I just don't dump someone off into talking about Dane without knowing about Dane. So it's interesting. So this was the take about, this was like from 3 or 4 weeks old, something like that. And then Dane just found out about it. He's a very big advocate for they, thems, and other things. Most of them I would call leftoids. So if you're triggered by leftoids, you'll probably be triggered if you see this in the future. People in my group are kind of familiar with actual fandom and organized chaos. So let's begin.
Almost exclusively chuddiness.
Yeah.
Like us talking about it is going to be kind of like one of the first times.
It's weird because I understand what it is, but I don't see why it requires a million videos. I don't understand what
Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen, this is the first time you've seen me talk about Sweet Baby Ink. This isn't. I have 2 parts of the previous prior where I tried to lay out what Kim Belair said, who is maybe the main co-founder. She's basically her and another guy. Because the other guy's worth covering, because he's the one who said, see, Romeo, I didn't tell you this before. He's the one who said, if people don't want wokeness or DI agenda style in games, we should just insert it and maybe they'll accept it.
Sounds weird.
Sounds weird, right? It's less, to be fair, he's the type that inserts it into the project. You find out about it. But see, I may have to actually do something on Sargon's. It goes back to Sargon's take if you don't know about it or know how to fight it. That's how they've been winning for many years. But as you can see, right, they throw around shoulds. So if you're not with them, so you're already getting the thing, right, Romeo? He's primed his audience in themselves. If you're on that side of the aisle, it comes against you, right? They think this is AstroTurf. You've been through the other 2 part. Did that seem like AstroTurf to you? These claims? You okay?
Yeah, sorry. AstroTurf in what way? Like, explain the term.
He thinks that this is just a manufactured outrage. As you'll... Hold on, let me go a little further. Like, he explains. You know what AstroTurf is? It's fake turf. This is how they define AstroTurf. I should let it play in the center.
It feels like there's like grass, but the grass is made of plastic. I feel like there's another term for that.
Yeah. Just so like a Sweet Baby Ink right here in the old YouTube.
First off, let me say, if you ever look at Dane's side, he has the weirdest screwed up search history on YouTube. I mean, he wondered years ago. I think he wondered. I noticed he had the weirdest feed. Like, he just subs to channels, and he has like 15 alts.
Interesting.
Dear God, we caught him. Like, it's stupid. Because why were people talking about Sweet Baby Ink? What did we conclude last night? We concluded they are an advocate group, right? They are promoting. So they're saying they're AstroTurf and fake. It's just outrage.
You just get all of this.
Oh, and by the way, Usually when one successful YouTuber does something, a bunch of people cover it.
Yeah.
Welcome to YouTube. Dane has never figured this out. And I'm going to be very honest, as a person who's watched YouTube for years. They go, you don't know what the algorithm is. I know mostly what the algorithm is. Usually the first person in, because I'm not a huge fan of Geeks and Gamers, or FNT. But see, they build the algorithm, but they also have to battle it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
One day, YouTube's a weird place. So when he brings this up, he thinks this is just chuds complaining. People who are gamers. See, his Gamergate thing was he ignored all of Zoe Quinn and the other actions and the advocacy that ruined games. You know? And that's a subject too that's he's supposed to have nuance.
A lot of anger. You get what you fucking deserve, Asmongold, who lives with cockroaches.
Oh, what's funny, by the way, on the Asmongold canceling? Romeo, are you familiar with it?
A bit.
What do you know about it?
Well, I know Asmongold kind of agreed with Hassan on that streaming is hard.
No, on the Sweet Baby Inc. thing. Do you know about it?
Yeah, he's against them.
See, he was initially against. See, he lives in Austin.
Ooh.
So Austin's kind of a very borderline, maybe you could say liberal city, so to speak. And nothing against him. It's the state capital, but let's be clear. I mean, he could be better. But the concept is he essentially said something. And Asmongold is basically a reactionary streamer, kind of a thing. So he has his WoW channel where he streams, and then he has his others. You have to set the stage for this. Because Dane lives in the side of the internet. He just sees a clickbait. He watches a video for 5 minutes, forms his own opinions. He's also very conspiracy brained. Now, the funny clip of a cockroach ran across Asmongold's chest was funny. But Sweet Baby started turning their guns on Asmongold because he questioned Chris Kinred. Now, do you think Dane knows of this origin? He ignores the Chris Kinred thing. And this is a man who says he knows nuance. Just saying. Weird, huh?
Yes, for sure.
I don't like Asmongold personally.
Me neither. I think I don't know. He's kind of weird.
What do you mean he's weird, you say?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
he's kind of simps for Hassan.
He simps for anything popular. He ceased being a normal person years ago to me. He was like a top earning Twitch person. And he kind of forgot about everybody. I mean, his gaming takes are like radioactive, but that's a subject matter for another day. If I ever cover the demise of gaming YouTube, but it's his takes. Where
You know Kirsha?
you mean Kershey? You say Kirsha.
She doesn't even say her that way. She always says Kirsha.
I know it's Kershey.
Well, she's actually madly in love with Asmongold for some reason.
She has more issues. To be
And
fair,
Pippa as well.
some of it's an act. You gotta understand. My exposure to her has been interesting. She's normal, but she has that. But that's subject matter today. That's like I get through this
On his chest and shit.
See, the video he was talking about with the one, he saw the clip, but he doesn't know the context of that. Because
Mm-hmm.
Asmongold, at least as liberal as he is, called out Chris Kinred for the harassment campaign.
There's a lot of this. The woke apocalypse.
Oh, Dane's thing is there's a woke apocalypse and shudpocalypse on YouTube, with YouTube views disappearing. Which is funny, by the way. I have a theory on this phenomenon. Like Hassan just lost a lot of viewers.
I saw that. That was funny.
It just happened to be they unsubbed right at the moment of he talked about supporting Palestinians and he supports terrorism.
Yeah, he got that one terrorist or whatever on his podcast or live stream, I mean.
Yeah.
And he asked him about One Piece. What the fuck?
No, this was recent. During a clip, he brought up where he endorsed it. And this is unironically, it's the normies. When the normies catch on, that's when the problems occur.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a subject that's interesting. I've heard about that. I just haven't talked about that because it's funny because that's when it corresponded with him losing views and subs. So
It's Act Ma'am. It's talking about Act Ma'am. Wow, that sure is funny.
oh, by the way, the YouTube search algorithm sucks. It's awful. This is what this looks like if you just type this in.
It's a lot. Like what?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on? What is this?
Oh, and before I stop, I was stopping along. Dane's method to look this up, instead of preparing this for a segment for a stream, he just did a deep dive on this. But this is where he starts getting into the meat, I guess. And Vera Dark has been in the gaming space for years. She's still relevant, but I can only watch so many people who put out 4 videos a day.
That's true.
I can't even watch all of Lotus Eaters. I'm like, oh, you put out 4 videos a day. You put out the max. I'm like, what the fuck? That's too much.
You guys don't know, or you do know? Or
I'm looking. It's weird. It's very weird.
Oh, the fun fact about Vera Dark, she covered back in Gamersgate days, but because she talked to Cabrutus, they mass reported the stream and got it demonetized for near harassment. YouTube on its back end got it to be demonetized. Is that odd?
Yeah, that's
because she talked to Cabrutus. What's funny is no one talks about that. Griffin Gaming, how I found out about Sweet Baby Inc. a long time ago, is Griffin Gaming found out about it around Stuttering Craig found out about it. And when he did a stream on it, or looked it up, YouTube demonetized it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Chris Kinred tried to say both Vera Dark and Cabrutus need to be reported for harassment for talking on that stream, and they tried to mass flag that stream to get it taken down and attack her channel. Bear in mind, these are civil folks, by the way. I didn't report on this or cover this, but I knew about it. There were some other people who had Cabrutus on, like side scrollers, they tried to do it to him as well. But YouTube caught on and just then ignored it. Now, you would call that pretty much dishonest. Dane doesn't talk about this.
Not a single.
I actually unsubscribed. So I was following her for a while, but she spams YouTube.
Oh, by the way, Dane, as an advocate as he is, hasn't talked about the James Somerton situation. Do you know about that, Romeo?
I've heard a lot of the stuff I hear about. I just
He's a
don't
massive plagiarist.
Oh, that person?
James Somerton.
Mm.
He's stolen content straight from other people.
Vera Dark, whatever her name is, she uploads way too much stuff.
That I
like
agree
my
on.
literal feed was filled with videos by her, so I unsubscribed from her a long time ago.
You're gonna find Eric talks about the back end of YouTube, but he doesn't know how YouTube works.
Well, look, there's us covering it. So, yeah, clearly we have
canceled them. Yeah,
we have a take about it already. Obviously, or I did. I made the thumbnail. I'll take credit or blame, whatever. Called it controversy because I looked into it and it seems that.
Well, here's the beginning of his take.
It's only something that you're concerned about is if you just don't want. If you're just a bigot, man, like that's the only reason to act like this matters.
Explaining what he means about what makes.
You gotta let him get his thought out.
What are they saying? Like, what's the majority of their complaint about the sweet babying things? Because I haven't clicked on every single video. I'm not really sure exactly.
Okay. Well,
what the argument is on their side.
So, how this process goes with the TFI? I mean, Eric's has his own channel. Bob has his own. We used to call Bob the Dane's puppet. All right. Now, I'm sure you can understand why, Romeo. We call them a puppet because Dane's the one who mentions topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll subtly prep a topic, but Dane is a firm control freak, so let that be said. I'm more privy to the inside operations of many people than I really care. And it's funny he's opened up his Discord now, but that Discord is so locked downable. Like if you're not a member of his cult, you get blocked. And it's the weirdest, deadest Discord ever. It makes BreadTube look sane. I mean, Destiny's Discord looks more. So Dane goes, I'm going to look into this. Now, by the way, I never trust a man who stacks his monitors.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Look, I get it. Okay? 4 monitors. I understand, okay? But he was happy about stacking his monitors on top of each other. Right?
His neck must hurt from looking up and down.
Yeah. I use 2 monitors side by side. Why? Because it's easier. That's a fun fact about him. And he was like, oh, I'm proud I'm stacking monitors. I'm like, that just sucks. But you see how he's trying to look down and he has to look up?
So let's go to this trusted source for whenever we want to find out what the deranged perspective is. Bounding into comics.
Yes, bounding into
How did
comics.
I know we were going to go?
I know when we looked into it yesterday, there was only Chud sources, and I found one non-Chud source today that I'm looking at.
Now, Romeo, have you ever heard of bounding into comics before?
I've heard of the site, but I don't know everything that they kind of write about. I know that they're kind of like a journalist thing.
Yeah, like a right-wing gaming journalist with a Christian slant.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
But they're just as bad as Kotaku.
Probably most journalists are.
Journalists will be journalists. I mean, very rare do you have actual gaming and journalism go together now. They don't exist anymore. That's probably why I still respect James Stephanie Sterling, even though the person's a couple of fries short of the Happy Meal these days.
Hmm.
He was actually, I mean, call it they them now at this point because they can't decide.
Oh,
Oh, you're not familiar with Jim Sterling. He can't
mm,
decide what he wants it to be because he's pan.
wait, wait, I don't get that. So he's non-binary, and then yeah, you talked about being pan, but so it, I don't get it. Is he mixed with his identity and his sexuality?
Yeah, Jim Sterling's an interesting story. He exists on YouTube still, but wants to present female but still acts male.
Yeah, people who don't present what they want to be, are very they want the attention of people mistaking them for a certain gender. They just want the attention usually.
And I'll admit, I don't know that that's why we call him James Stephanie Sterling now. He lies to blame, but that's a saga that I see. I'm one day I'm to go in the gaming section of YouTube. But he was actually a journalist as well as a gamer. So, but bounding into comics is not a good source. I would never trust it.
Baby Ink staff throw tantrum after Steam curator list created to track warned players.
Change your font. Is that their font? That's ugly.
my fault. That's my
Yeah.
fault.
Oh,
I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing the other day, and I just haven't fucking fixed it.
I was gonna say that's a weird
Yeah.
font to have
It's
as a
really
title
bad.
of an article.
It's really fucking bad. And my girlfriend
Fix it, Dave. Fix it. Okay.
I'm gonna. But yeah. So, like, look, this type of headline, by the way, any headline like this that just has like multiple parts to it is gonna be bullshit propaganda. Okay, like, and you just kind of like,
Heads up warning, he's a massive conspiracy brain. Didn't I say that?
Yes.
You're seeing it now, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes conspiracy theories can work when you're talking about a subject like this, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind
Little
of weird
back
to put that in
a
right
little
now.
backdrop. You've seen how I work, right? I
Hmm.
go through like 3 or 4 different sources before I say something is true.
Yeah, because you could get in trouble.
You see, you've seen how I vet stuff.
Hmm.
My personal thing is I have to hear the same thing said consistently 3 to 4 times before I think it's true. You know what I mean? That's a good vetting system. And I don't take a YouTube talking head as a source. I go to the source. And I go to multiple sources. This is how you're actually supposed to get information. You discern what's real and what's fake. See, Romeo, doesn't that sound like a better thing that a lot of people do versus whatever?
Hmm.
No. But he goes straight to bounding the
take that to the
comics.
fucking bank. Any headline that's trying to paint an entire picture for you in the headline so that you go into the story just already thinking a very specific thing that's not real fucking journalism, guys. It's just not.
Also, Dane was a journalist at one point because he wrote for a gaming site, but he can't get a YouTube channel to work. But he can damn well edit a video.
So despite building an entire business on forcefully injecting identity politics into video games, employees of the inclusion-focused narrative consultation company Sweet Baby Inc. are absolutely livid that a Steam user has begun taking steps to ensure the public knows exactly which specific titles they've worked on. Now, that's interesting because let me show you why this is interesting, because they're acting like they're like, oh, they made a list of stuff they're working on or whatever. Let's go to.
Do you notice how he skipped over the harassment claim? Romeo?
Yeah. hmm Can you like explain the harassment claim to like everybody?
So I will explain this. Yes, it must be done. Yes. So I was going to. So the Chris Kenrid, before he had his tweets locked down, probably they're still locked down to this day because he actually got banned. He's the same guy who actually got a week ban because he basically attacked Kira Toriyama,
Oh yeah.
him, because he didn't have black people in Dragon Ball.
What the fuck?
Chris Kenrid like works in marketing for Sweet Baby Inc. or something for that company. He's the type of employee that you probably who leaves. He's like the bird that poops all over the place and leaves it everywhere. I think
Yeah. So
Asmongold used that, and it's like, yeah, so one problematic employee, you have a bunch. So Chris Kenrid found out about this uh, curator list, and then it created a Streisand effect with him wanting to get it banned. And it's like sits at like 300,000 people now. They tried to false report the curated group. They found his actual account on Twitter and then Steam and tried to have him and his entire Steam library banned for harassment because he created this curated group.
wow.
You think I'm making that up? It's bad. Like it didn't work because he had his tweets privated. He got unbanned, and then he went and attacked Akira Toriyama. I mean, this time with Gamersgate 2.0 ish, it's not really that. People are just wiser to these people now. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
actually when I do something to talk about the culture's waking up. Remember, I said earlier, when you irritate the normies, that's when the problems occur.
hmm
But it'll only take in 10 years for people to wake up.
Well, I
Sweet
feel like
Baby Inc.
I was gonna say, I feel like, as you said, normies, a lot of normies or normal people, they don't know about like Gamergate or anything or like that. So,
No.
and then when it starts getting into like the public and people start hearing about it, most people would think that what Gamergate is, or like this whole situation is kind of like pretty bad. I think most people would agree that, and I think a lot of these people, like the people that we are watching, they think that like normal people agree with them when in my opinion, normal people would not agree with them.
No, people like this particular group is more your Twitter blue check marks because they don't use Twitter. They prefer Blue Sky. If you do not know anything about Blue Sky, oof, you're lucky. Blue Sky was where all the people who got disillusioned with Twitter went, and then they decided to live over there. And then liberal people, leftoids, because it was started by was it Jack Dorsey, I believe, and then uh, basically he turned it into more of a is the Twitter alternative that no one uses into a hellhole, right?
Mm.
What happens when you give basically leftoids a space to operate in? They become what they hate. That's what massive authoritarians. Just to give you an idea. They're like, but we don't use Twitter, but Twitter's bad. Alright. No, no one talks about Blue Sky and what's going on over there. They don't have bots, they just have ideological Puritans. And it's dominated and people get banned.
.com, which, as you might guess, is their actual website.
Now, the funny part about his,
And look, the name doesn't do them any favors. That kind of like leaves them like right for chuds to go after, because I don't even know what that means. But and then I'm also seeing some shit that who knows, but like they're saying that this symbol is actually a pedo symbol, so of course they're trying to fucking tie it into that.
Oh my god!
I've never heard this. By
yeah,
the way,
JD, I think you're right. I think that's what they're doing.
I have never heard this. Romeo, tell me if this makes sense. What he says. Do you think it's because when we looked at this before, did it look like people were going against it because they were pedophiles? You can speak, sir. You, Romeo? If you're trying to speak, you're not speaking. So. Because when we looked into this, that's not why people were going against Sweet Baby Inc. We were going against it because the fact that it's interjecting politics and wokeness into stuff we think is gaming, and that's escapism for us. So, you have something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my mic must have not been working.
Nice.
But yes, it feels like they're trying to like downplay like the other stuff by bringing up the people think they're pedophiles because of their logo. It's weird to just bring that up. I mean, not there are some people that were talking about it, but not enough for people to even believe that they're a pedophile thing. Now, if you want to think that they're a pedophile for something, or groomers, they're grooming people to believe their own agenda. If you know, I think
They're
we talked about
grooming
that.
people for activism more than anything else. They're not grooming for anything. That's just influencing an entire generation that something seems okay, right?
Yeah, they're trying to like I don't know. They're very interesting.
Minimize or downplay it.
Yeah.
What was that? What was her name? I can't think of that one journalist. It wasn't because there was another one, not the Alessa one. There was another person, journalist. She tried to look into Cabrutus's group. She was saying that either wokeness is a good thing, and I'd have to because she privated her tweets like the next day, and like the whole thing. She basically was trying to say, no, there's nothing else to see here, guys. And she tries to do what these were doing. This was like last week. And I guess when you get ratioed in your comments sections on Twitter, nothing goes good.
Yeah, you know, like how people just delete their tweets like that? I always feel that it's not good to just delete your tweets unless it's something like extravagant because it makes you look a little bit suspicious.
Little city sus, yes. But the thing about it is, I want to say it's not the argument that I've seen is harm reduction, is what Bane tries to do. It's like minimizing what they actually do. And he's going to look into their site and he's going to, this is what he says. This was after, I think, the redesign of their site. Even Dane notices it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me.
They're just a consulting group,
newsflash,
guys.
pedos wouldn't advertise it on their
Right.
business. Like, I mean, but okay.
It's like just how the Illuminati and stuff, the elites, the cabal, they can't help but like put stuff into.
Yeah, let's put all this directly on our website so that way, in case you're wondering, this is what we're doing. Yeah, sure. Okay.
So founded in 2018, Sweet Baby
Fun fact: if you're going to do a conspiracy theory, you want to present something up front, stick it up there front first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Sweet Baby did this. People are going to be more inclined to think conspiracy theories are hidden in the actual stuff you don't want to find out. See, like the fun fact about government: don't look at the front hand, ignore the. See, in politics, it's ignore the. It's like when Obama was president, right? See, Romeo, why we had to look at this? It's
Yeah.
usually don't look at the front facing statements. Go to the statements they put out on the side or during dumps.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the case of most journalism, people forget what they see. So, yes, in some cases, stuff is front and center. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to journalism, they put the front first, so and usually the other stuff second. Usually the first news story you see is the most honest news story.
Mm-hmm.
This is because there's disinformation afterwards. So the allegation that these people wouldn't hide stuff in plain sight. Because if I ask you, Romeo, how many times people like Dane and them I've never heard mention, they're like pro trans groups get caught with CP.
Yeah.
But do these people report on it?
Nope.
No. Am I right about that? You
You're
hear
right.
about this all the time. Comes across Twitter.
Inc.
But
is a
let's
narrative
just
development and
clarify, not all of groups are like this. We're just talking about a few.
Yeah. We're talking about a few. But if you're going to have advocacy, right? Report on something adequate, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a nuanced opinion. Again, he claims nuance.
Patient studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games.
Now, what did she say? Very innocent, interesting. What did she say in the sisterhood thing? She said she works on narrative, storytelling, and writing.
Mm-hmm.
They had near full control of Suicide Squad. But this is Dane's take. They're just consulting.
Industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. I honestly don't see anything negative about that.
Those monsters.
But they're not
Um,
looking at the bigger picture. They're not talking about the examples. They're not talking about the
No.
video game. So
we
They're-
believe you need diverse voices to solve diverse problems. Sweet Baby Inc. provides narrative consultation at any stage of development, boasting a
Yep,
talented
missing
team with
the
vetted
nuance.
industry experience to best bring your story to life.
So they're
Uh,
consultants.
Mm-hmm. Outreach. New and marginalized talent can change this industry if given the proper support.
Mhm.
That's probably what Chuds are really upset about.
Mhm.
That type of thing. We want to provide this through our outreach programs, and they have some resources.
Do you see why sometimes people think Dane's an idiot?
mm-hmm.
Because of little statements like that. How factually has he gotten this wrong? And we looked at it in an unbiased way. I did, right? The
Mm-hmm.
two previous. So what did we learn? She is maybe a firm believer in what she says, right?
Yeah, she thinks that what she's doing is helping. That's what she thinks.
But is it creating sales and is it creating better?
I mean, I think we talked a bit about this before because you looked at how much they make. it's not helping the games, it's helping those people who are the consultants, right?
It's enriching the consultant. It's not helping the industry.
It's not helping the gaming industry at all. But those people are getting richer that are
I showed
profiting.
it. You can go back and look. Goodbye Volcano High only had 14 people playing.
Mhm.
Jesus. It's not a lot of sales.
There, I guess. So these are the things they've worked on, which is,
Oh, by the way, none of these people are gamers. You can tell by their opinions.
They don't play games at all.
Apparently, Eric says he does. He plays Final Fantasy 14.
Um.
I'm sure he's a cat boy. But
Oh god.
no.
Okay. To be honest, I don't find. I mean, games are very hard to define on certain areas, but you have to at least play about 15 games to be a gamer and to have an opinion on a game.
You got to play enough games to have nuance on how it works. Okay.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God, at least have an opinion. Like me, gaming has been my refuge for many years. You know what I mean? I can look at a game and I can pretty much tell what it's going to be about or whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
going to hate it, but I'm going to know how the system works. That's why if Amra watch me play certain games, I eventually just break games down to ones and zeros. I mean, and I don't try to play stuff it's bad.
Mm.
So, and there's a couple of games they talk about because Battle Shapers is not out yet,
it's weird. Why would they get upset?
nor
Somebody
is
built
June.
some kind of thing to track. We want to know exactly what games they've worked on. Why don't you just go to their website, man?
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2, Sable.
But that's the issue is that they took away the games that they actually did work on, some of them. Isn't that
Yes,
right?
they also censored their website. Dane didn't know they censored their website.
So then he was not prepared to do this at all, was he?
No, he wasn't. Mm-mm. He wasn't prepared to do this. You see Battle Shapers that's on screen right now?
Hmm.
That's not released yet.
Yeah, he's kind of. I'm not saying he's an idiot, but he did something that's a bit idiotic.
We just decided to speak on something without the nuance. And he likes to claim I make nuance. I'm sorry to make fun of him, but I'm not trying to make fun of him. But
I try not to
we
make fun of people. I'm just, as I said, he
we
had
have
it.
been through. I have been through. I apologize for having other people who say those. You can go look at Grey Poupette's channel. I have dealt with this group before in their sub faction last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not the brightest people. So I come out of kiddos community. So well, let's see how they described it. So Spider-Man 2, right? They worked on narrative. Spider-Man 2 had one of the you'll hear them say has one of the biggest sales, but it had one of the biggest drop-offs of anything. Suicide Squad was a bomb. God of
Yeah,
War
that
Rag
was a mess.
total bomb. Battle Shapers, he doesn't know what Battle Shapers is. Alan
Battle
Wake 2.
Shapers, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Usual. What is
Usual
I've never heard
June
of that game.
is not out
Oops.
till 25.
Usual June? Okay, I was like, I wasn't sure
Okay.
what lettering was there.
Oh,
Well, I've heard of 2 of those games.
Is it weird
but
that looked AI generated, that little picture that was up of the title of the game?
that's the art for the game.
Yeah, but it looks AI generated, doesn't it?
Um, I don't know, but it's very much the narrative. But you know what's funny? Right now, Usual June is in the process in the Steam forums of trying to nuke any existence that they worked with Sweet Baby Inc.
Mm-hmm.
That game's not coming out till 25.
Yeah, they just didn't do their research, and
Then
that.
supposedly they fired all their consultants that were working with Sweet Baby Inc.
Mm-hmm.
What does that tell you? There's
Yeah,
backlash. Battle Shapers is not out yet.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple of them you may notice are pretty fucking huge games. This one and this one in particular.
By the way, no disrespect to Dad of War, Ragnarok. It's about half cinematics.
I've heard of that.
Literally, like, some cutscenes are. We call it Dad of War because it's modern Kratos, okay? Because you heard her in the thing when she was talking about how she was inspired to write Kratos. But it is all take.
Right? Like those are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, Alan Wake 2, the long-awaited sequel to Alan Wake, it's set in the Alan Wake universe, and they actually race swapped the main characters, or at least the detective.
So yeah, they worked on narrative and character consultation with the focus on. This wasn't here whenever I went to it last night. I was like, why is this thing following me around? It wasn't on here. I don't think. Pretty sure that it didn't do this.
So he
last
went
night
to
when
the
I looked at it.
website
So they're like, I think
when they
actively trying to
redesigned
clarify
it
what the fuck
the
they
day
did.
after.
So we
The one
worked
thing
on story
I might
consultation.
disagree with you on
We
is the
worked on
race swap
narrative
of
and character
Alan Wake
consultation with a
character,
focus on
because
representation.
I don't know. I think
What?
I mentioned it in Vincent's stream. We talked. I don't know if you heard my opinion on it.
Huh.
We talked about like. Never mind. It's not really relevant at this point. I won't talk about it right now.
Okay. Sure later. But yeah, that's what they did, supposedly. And the half the game, right? Because it doesn't feel like Alan Wake.
Which I saw someone saying that, oh, that's probably why one of the characters is a black person. It's like, you know, they want verisimilitude with their you know, I guess Norse gods depicted in a video game, right? Like, come on, man. It's fucking ridiculous. We already went through this with Heimdall in the MCU.
That's two different things. And yes, they got shit on for what they did with Heimdall in the MCU. By the way.
I don't know
Okay.
much about superheroes and the DC or Marvel universe. More of
So
DC.
the MCU is set up differently than the comics because Heimdall is white, or like represents the Asgard. Most of the Asgardians are all whatever. The only reason people didn't give a shit about Heimdall in the MCU is because it's the actor playing it, and it's not based on 100% the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
By the way, Dane is supposed to be a comic person.
Our clients, and they just have like all the clients basically.
Again, this feels like ESG again. It's an optional thing. It's not like they're a consultation firm. It's not like, you know, they say something and these companies go, oh shit, I need to do that now. No, it's
Right. Yeah, well, why would you get mad at the company that's like being hired by if you're gonna be mad about this stupid shit, which you shouldn't be because it's stupid,
yeah.
get mad at the fucking the publisher, the game publisher. You know what I mean? Like, they're the ones that make the choice to bring on a consultant.
But here's what did I say about this the other time? They created a fire. What did she say? be a shame if you have a good game and you get called racist.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these firms created a drama market. This is what Dane doesn't get. Because you can see
Yeah.
Dane's lost in the weeds here.
Well, yeah, she just threatened them.
But nice game you got here.
I know, it'd be a shame if this happened, you know?
That's worked so well for Anita.
Or not. But no, it's because it's a new thing. It's a new name. It sounds kind of like silly, but also it could be insidious because it's silly or something.
Mhm.
You know, I don't. Who knows? I'm trying to imagine what goes on in a Chud's head. And
They look
and
like
then of course
chuds
they can
themselves.
attach ESG and DEI to it and
Mhm.
whatnot.
Oh, this gets
This is
really
the new
real.
CRT for them. Any 3-letter term they can use.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're against 3-letter acronyms.
yeah.
So Sweet Baby Inc. is an inclusion focus.
You see? You see what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to tell your story on your CRT class eventually. So you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
These people think DEI and CRT isn't real.
Yeah, I think I should talk to them about or do you want me to talk about it here? Or would that just or would you want me to do it on another
Do it on.
stream?
We'll do it on another.
Okay.
But you do know. So
Mm-hmm.
CRT is not a myth.
It's not at all. They don't call it that actually. They don't call that. We had a thing called what's it called? You know, they have the homeroom time where you're in homeroom or like study hall.
Yeah.
During that time is when we would have counselors come in and explain us critical race theory, but they didn't call it that. They called it like a certain like anagram or something for it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, these people think DEI doesn't exist or ESG. The thing is, what people are, that's something I think me and Vincent try to get into and look at. The reason why people are finding out there's less money to go around for it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of documents are being hidden. And it is a way for companies to get funding for projects, but it's with a promise of incentives, whether for environmental or equity means. If that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, Romeo.
It makes sense.
It's like, whoa. Like, if you took it like Ubisoft took money from ESG for DEI initiatives, what
Mm-hmm.
does them on an economic green footprint front have anything to do with their business?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's what ESG does. And we're finding out more about it within the last 6 months, but it's been going on years. But these people don't know about it.
Narrative company and consultation company. We're building a team and a process in hopes of building a kinder, more sustainable industry at every scale. Wow, more sustainable industry. Whether you need a
Those
fresh pair of
monsters.
eyes or a guiding hand, we're here to work with you. We begin with all hands review and discuss the project material. Everyone at Sweet Baby sees your project and shares their thoughts, feelings, and ideas. We do this because it kicks the project off with a multitude of perspectives, beginning a conversation that ensures the work is richer and more resonant before it's even put to paper. We then create and complete narrative deliverables by keeping the player in mind with a focus on user experience and emotional design. We aim to consult with honesty, transparency, conversational approach to. So, I mean, there's definitely some words in there that you just know chuds are getting reactive to, like emotional design. You know, I don't even know what that means, but like they're what does that
Yeah.
mean?
If you don't know what that means,
But it's
why
not. I'm
talk
sure it's not
about that?
anything. It's big, like because ultimately at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're making this game more likely to sell well to a broad audience, to be successful, to make money.
And we know how well that goes.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, They're doing a capitalism.
Remember how I talked about activists
Yeah.
before?
Anyway, that's Sweet Baby
Mhm.
Ink's website.
Doing a capitalism.
And I guess we can go back to fucking see what you call it says about it. They seem to have some venom in their words. All right. So then, picture of a black person. Yeah. So look how are they responsible for this black person in the video?
What
game?
they
Holy
could
shit.
put anybody in that video game, but
That wasn't the issue.
Why would they do that?
With Alan
Related
Wake.
opinion: Sweet Baby Inc., the company responsible for victim mentality.
They don't know what
in
they're
video
talking
games.
about, and
What?
I don't get why have a stream
Bounding in a
talking
comic.
about
John
it,
F.
and
Trent,
don't know
you
about
have the
it.
biggest fucking victim complex.
Hold on a sec. This little rant's funny.
Okay.
He claims that victim mentality, right? John F. Trent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know what they're talking about. That's not... What did I say why people had an issue with Alan Wake 2?
It's because they race changed one of the characters.
And what was the other thing? It didn't feel like Alan Wake.
Mm-hmm. I haven't entirely played it. I know a lot about the first game, and it seems a lot different. Like, they're completely different genres.
Alan Wake was like a really good member-berry game for a lot of people. So, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, yes. And Dane likes to be... Like, this is what he was trying to get Endymion to delete his channel. Because the Jack Reeser star, he mischaracterized him.
Fucking Christ, man! Like,
Is he still the editor? They have his name on there.
I was already saying, is this still him? I thought
it still says he is the editor in chief. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
He doesn't really. So oddly enough, I don't see him mingling with people that were connected to Bounding into Comics anymore.
Mostly
they also
people
don't
don't do
mingle with Bounding into
research.
Comics. Like the people he used to stream with, he doesn't stream with the same people anymore.
There's
So I wonder if there's some sort of background divisive stuff that's not public between them, because it does seem a little.
He sold the
weird.
website, so he's just an editor now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I haven't really taken time to like see, but you're right. It is that the same people that. Well, so there's JDA, and he's I don't think with Bounding anymore either, because he's
No,
doing
and but he's hanging out with Cypher, who did for a while still work for Bounding, who I don't know if he still does anymore either. But they don't associate with John F. Trent anymore. He's got another group of people that he does stuff with now. So
the W Pro, that fart place. Website. And this,
there's some other shit going on with Bounding. I don't really know what it is, but
I'd love to get some. If anybody has any idea of what's going on behind the scenes with this stuff, I'd love to know about it.
Oh, here's a fun thing about Dane. Dane, and others, Dane spearheaded to because Eric July was going to be at MegaCon, to have Eric July blocked from MegaCon because he's promoting hate.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same person wanting information. Just saying. Is that not creepy? Like a giant concern, Karen, to make up something to get someone to destroy their business.
Yeah,
Then he goes,
it's creepy in a way, yes.
but I'm just a channel with 6,000 people. Why does a guy with 500,000 care? Because you're trying to screw with a person's business and make lies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's a funny backstory no one ever mentions anymore.
Yeah, I know. He's got a couple of
they're all doing their own separate thing now because Bounding is owned by a company and they're not making money off of it anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why bounding is. They're still bad, but they're a bit more milk toast variety bad.
I actually think they've gone from being just outright like
They've never
Christian
been good.
nationalist bullshit to we're bad, but we're just not putting
Uh-oh,
religion in it anymore.
Christian
That's kind of what it
nationalist.
is.
Somebody in my chat a while back said they went from being mask off to half mask back on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the mask
And
half on or something.
Christian
like that.
national.
I actually think the mask off stuff hurt the
I
business,
think
and
you
they
know
needed to
my
sell it because
position
it was
on
not
what I said
making
before.
as much
I don't
money
know if you
anymore. So
remember.
What's your
I told you that I grew up in a Christian household, and so I do hold I still believe in Christianity in a way.
yeah?
I just I'm there's a lot of bigoted kind of
Yeah.
grammar in the Bible that goes towards people like me, but I still have believe in it, and I think when we talk about like religion and stuff like that, we don't really think about the people who, you know, there are gay Christians, there's trans Christians, there's,
Yeah.
so the statement that he makes is entirely just blaming it on Christians when Christians are
Bear in
actually
mind, they're mostly atheists, by the way, here.
hmm
Like, I know people, like, if you're a Catholic, now more hardline Christians don't accept gay people. Non denominationals do. Because if you really want to get technical, you can lead a sinful life your entire life away from God. There's actually the belief that if you just pray to God and you take Jesus into your life, you're
hmm
absolved of all your sins. You go to heaven regardless.
Yeah, I know.
And this is what people don't get about religion. And I'm not saying that that is correct. But to be fair, Christian discussion is in. The thing is, Dane has a firm belief that he thinks Christian fundamentalism is equal between to being a Nazi.
Yeah, I think that's entirely idiotic to think like that. Um, gosh. The thing is,
Because
the thing is with people who are very liberal, they're always saying, like, don't hate on religion because, that's bigoted, but then at the same time, they hate on religion. I
yeah,
noticed that a lot of people were like, we love, don't ever be Islamophobic or Islamophobic. And you're thinking, like, well, don't you hate the ideas of what's in what they believe, people who are Muslim? And that's the same thing with most religions that they talk
yeah.
about.
Go on
So,
Twitter. Literally
mhm,
go on Twitter and look at the Free Palestine people.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, I see a lot of gay people with Palestine flags, and I think to myself, they're kind of stupid if they don't know what, you know, basically what the Islam
Islamic
religion,
tenets can basically mean
mhm,
for them. Yeah.
people like me would be killed in the street or hung.
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't happen. It's weird, and I don't ever hear it because that's why on Twitter, sometimes I will see flags in the bio. I'll just tell occasionally people if you really want to make these people mad, flags in the bio, pronouns and flags in the bio. Ignore.
yeah,
Just sit there and watch them cope and seethe and rage.
yeah, that is true. But yeah, as I said, it makes me angry when people like him have to bring religion into something like this when obviously we're not even talking about religion at all. This is talking about an entirely different thing.
Oh.
He's just throwing out vocabulary words so that so his argument sounds good or what
Or
he's
he
saying.
thinks it's relevant to the discussion.
Yeah, but it's not. So,
No, and the whole thing, I'll say this, because think about it this way. You could probably speak more on this. The concept is like there's this group, and a lot of when Hamas did the big rocket attack last year into Israel with the 5,000 rockets, it actually exposed a lot of liberal left. I literally saw a guy because I'm still going to do a piece on this woke hammer thing because it's going to
mhm.
come back up again with female space marines. There was literally this Spaniard guy. He was quite literally calling me and my side fascist and Nazis, but he fully endorses actual fascism and dictatorships.
Yeah, a lot of people on the left are hypocrites, and that's something that I always try to tell people. You always have to look into what they believe, and then you can find their web of lies or the way that they contradict themselves all the time.
You want the truth, you don't. People don't think that leftists can be authoritarians. I mean,
Hmm.
rightists have their authoritarians too.
And to be honest, a lot of people on the right aren't always like right. I think a lot of people, I think, okay, so this might sound weird,
Hmm.
because a lot of people hate me saying this, but
Hmm.
politically, there's a political spectrum. You
Yep.
know, we think of the autism spectrum, we think of the political spectrum. The political spectrum is large, and not everybody falls on one side or the other. People can fall in the middle, they can lean more to the right or more to the left. And everybody has their own different opinion on stuff. And I think I don't really know where I'm getting to with this, but
There's
you
different
get what I'm
positions. There's different positions.
saying.
Like,
Hmm.
you could have a person who's right leaning. They're basically, the concept is either on the scale traditionally of is liberalism and conservatism on one end side. What is it actually, a liberal and a conservative? What's an ideal? You can have entire groups of Republicans that claim to be conservative, but they will go moderate or liberal on certain social agendas,
Hmm.
which are, you'll find, like, I think it's like I find a lot of Texas Republicans because we're moderate even by nature. We are for pro military,
Hmm.
pro immigration. No, we're pro, like, we're anti immigration. We're pro borders, national borders, kind of thing. We like free
Hmm.
speech, but we also respect the rule of law. But when it comes to certain social crises, depending on the person, do you need a handout to help you get by, or do you need aid, or should you respect marginalized? The concept is very different. That's what people don't
Hmm.
get about, like, our side. Like, they go, "Oh, you're conservative. You're dirty conservative." No, on social stuff, we don't exclude that. Like me,
Hmm.
I say federal government should rule and be designed to work for the majority while respecting the minority.
Hmm.
What does that mean? Majority rules because it was Clinton that passed DOMA in my generation.
Hmm.
Defense of
Yeah.
Marriage Act was passed by Bill Clinton.
Ben Clinton did 9/11.
People forgot about that, right?
Yeah.
Democrats passed that. Boys got walked back years later. Don't you know why Don't Ask, Don't Tell was put into the military? Because all it said was just don't be an openly flaming person in the military. You're
Hmm.
fine. No one cared otherwise. It was a discipline problem. But a lot of these people on these positions, like with Dane, and I have to emphasize this because my opinion never got out here on Dane, is they call themselves left, but they don't understand the stuff they speak. Like, I'm for legal migration to the United States, but I'm
Hmm.
anti illegal immigration.
Yeah, and everything's not black and white.
Oh,
I would say for me, politically, I do wish there was some way of bettering the immigration laws and somehow making
yeah.
it in a better way.
You're
And
for a nation. You would be for, like me, a nation of laws and probably a decent consensus versus tribalism. We have.
mm-hmm,
These
true.
these people don't get. Sorry for the side tangent, but not everyone's the same. That would be like me saying to a liberal person, "You support Antifa." No, when I say someone's on a spectrum, like Dane, I think he's a very far left spectrum.
And
I mean,
we probably
putting
could-
religious quotes in your articles were probably not helping.
Yeah, we called him on that.
They
And by
got
the way,
verb.
we got Burbage, guys. We got Burbage.
Oh, that gets
if you,
cut
if you
out.
aren't, if you don't know,
Books because he was always quoted. I'm like, does he even know? Does he know that his quotes are being used in this site? Is he aware of it? Like,
Probably not. I don't
Hmm.
know.
go fast, lose cash. Yeah, I mean that seems to be more accurate than get woke, go broke for sure.
so I want to point this out. This is how everything works with them. I've said this for a while. They don't actually provide solutions to anything they complain about. What they do is they complain about something, make as much money off of that complaint as long as they can, and then magically,
This is his explanation of how YouTube works.
just like the sun rises in the morning, they stop talking about it. Do you remember the trans panic that all these channels were talking about for months and months and months? It was going to be the end of the world, and then boom, off a cliff. No more trans panic, no more Dylan Mulvaney, no more any of that stuff. It just goes away.
Can you pause that real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying that there's no trans panic or whatever.
No, he's saying on YouTube about the
On
algorithm.
YouTube, but there actually is. I see it on the algorithm. Maybe it's
It's
because
just not in the main algorithm anymore.
I guess. I mean, maybe it's because I'm subscribed to Blair White. Do you know who she is?
Yes.
She's one of she's someone I look up to in a way. I mean, I
She's
might not agree.
mostly transitioned except bottom surgery, yes.
Yes. I agree with her in some ways. I don't agree with her in a lot of other ways. But I feel like she's very understanding on people's sides and everything. And she even talks about trans problems because that's who she is. And she talks about the trans panic. So that's maybe why I see a lot more of that. But I do hear a lot of people still talking about the trans stuff. He's saying that, from what I understand, he's saying that you see that often on YouTube, I guess. But for me,
You
I
don't
do.
see it on the main channels like
Mhm.
the Geeks and Gamers or the main algorithm. It's
Mhm.
only in the main algorithm unless it's see, the way YouTube works now is technically it used to be way back in the day. Let's say you only covered comics or 40K or something like that. You were stuck in one sphere.
Mhm.
The algorithm would say, then they eventually moved away from spheres. Like, commentary became very broad. Like, I do commentary, but I do a different form of commentary versus the other. Commentary is in a very broad category. It
For
could be
sure.
on gaming.
Commentary has changed its meaning throughout the years.
You can get tags on your videos. So the idea there is no trans panic, right? I'll guarantee every single time Dylan Mulvaney comes up, someone covers it. It's just not covered on the main channel.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's heavily covered in the commentary community.
Mm-hmm.
Like when
Would
Dylan
you consider Blair White a commentary YouTuber? Or political?
But Blair White and both Taft Tash are both conservative-leaning trans people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, Blair White legit had either GDI or GID, but she's not going to go through with the bottom surgery because of the risk.
Not just that, but she believes that being a trans woman is basically a subcategory of man and not a woman. So she has her beliefs on
That's it.
that. Yeah, I might not want to go into detail about that because the stream
Not
is
here,
long.
that would be a whole thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, but when you say there is no transpanic about stuff, there was a story. It got buried in the main channels. But there's also this thing too in YouTube. Like if you cover something, your video gets buried. You have to know
Hmm.
how to play with the algorithm. I found a story, and I'll send it to you, Romeo. It was about a thing on Lotus Eaters did it, and it quickly got ran out of the algorithm, but it got shadow banned on Lotus Eaters about
Can you explain what Lotus Eaters is? I don't really know much about
Lotus Eaters is a channel Sargon runs
it. Okay.
with like the various different like ideology people. Some of the commentators I don't care for, but they're weird. But the concept is that's a Sargon of Akkad's channel. So this one particular video was actually showing the update that's been happening in the U.S. And I just heard about this. And you hear about these stories that it's hard to cover on YouTube because YouTube would call you doing harassment. And you have to be really careful how you cover it. So there was like a story in Canada where a father lost custody of the kid because in Canada, and there's these stories, basically a 14-year-old kid, well, they can be 12, go to a school counselor, tell them they are the other sex, and they can almost start transitioning them. Now, you think that's just Canada. A father
Have a
eventually, a father eventually just lost custody of the child because if you in Canada, right, they were like, "Oh, the parents, you're not respecting the child's pronouns." The government was taking rights. Now, people don't think about this. Someone tried to cover the cases in the United States, but that is buried by our algorithm in the United States.
Mhm.
So the idea of transpanic is still there on YouTube. You have to go look for it. And there's two sides to it. Some are saying it's a lot of people. And that's a subject matter too that's interesting. If you ever want to go into it, Romeo, we'll do research. But for him to say it's not there, it just got dies down. And the only time in our algorithm in the US we hear about Dylan Mulvaney is whenever Dylan Mulvaney says something very stupid. I've known about Dylan Mulvaney for years
Me too.
before the Bud Light thing.
Yeah, they became like this gay person. Did you see that one meme of
What
the
was it? No. The person wanted to transition day in the life of the girl thing. No, I remember Dylan Mulvaney from It's a Gundam.
Yeah, I watch him, so I
Mhm.
remember that whole
Yeah.
situation.
So people were like, oh, that's Dylan Mulvaney. He finally hit mainstream.
Yeah, well, I think that the point of Dylan Mulvaney was to be famous. That's the point. His family doesn't even support him. Um,
Oh, the TikTok videos, if you go back, are cringe.
yeah, because he told his father that he was gonna get pregnant, and he said,
I don't
as
know if
the
that was for a skit or actually real.
I think it was real, but I think that this whole transitioning of Dylan Mulvaney is just a skit to be famous.
I don't know. You know, my take on Dylan Mulvaney is Dylan Mulvaney wants to be RuPaul.
I mean, you're not wrong. Dylan Mulvaney wants to be famous. That's their goal. I'm
But
saying there
no,
because I don't want
yeah,
to
they
be.
consider. I know it's hard to really say. I'll usually use the correct pronouns if the person appears that way. But like RuPaul, right, was an actual person in New York who would cross dress and do drag in New York.
Yes, I'm familiar. Most gay people know who, RuPaul is.
And that's a very different thing. A lot of people weren't like outraged by it. So a lot.
RuPaul is not even a good person, to be honest. Have you heard?
No, I have not heard. I've heard some stories all over the place, but
One of my favorite. Okay, so I say I'm not into drag, but there's this one drag queen named Pearl who got in a fight with RuPaul after RuPaul said something pretty
I've heard of that one. There's
yeah.
one that there's clips. It's a Gundam uses, but yeah, we'll move on. But the idea there is no trans panic on YouTube, that's real. The idea in the U.S. we're seeing in Canada, in the U.S. you can't talk about it.
That's
It
true.
flags your channel. Thing is, we're like prime example too. These are the same people here. Eric would say, well, in the political, watch when YouTube gets very
I didn't understand that.
Cortana. Not Cortana, but your phone listens to you. Don't ask me. But I don't. No, you know what's funny about YouTube? Like when politics hit, look for the slam of the algorithm in Google. Right now, my point about this, this is a side tangent, this is real. We've been dreading 24 on YouTube. You know why? Because you're not going to be able to say things. They're already testing stuff on Google.
Yeah, I've seen it.
We're not on YouTube. They're testing it on Google.
And I know, I think I've told you last time, and it may have been on stream as well, that Nicholas Diorio took down my comment, but since you made that comment that YouTube might have done that, then I agree. My comment was about someone kept saying that I can't believe my favorite left-leaning, which was Bosch, YouTuber is like this and that, and I said both sides have people like that. And so the left and the right both have problems like that. And then all of a sudden my comment was deleted. I thought it was Nicholas Diorio, but it probably could be YouTube. And
to be fair, there's an option in YouTube in your channels to have moderation in your comment section.
But to me, there wasn't any rules that said I was, going against TOS or saying anything, So
you have to understand a lot of this problem in YouTube itself. This is why I hate half of Dane and them. They don't get this. This was a big heart point for them. They don't know how YouTube works. I know how my section of YouTube works. When I mention politics, let me say this first. Let's see. Sorry. YouTube, when politics hits, you'll see a big change in the algorithm. Like there was a period you couldn't say, like when COVID was going on, you couldn't say COVID. They slapped your channel with misinformation if you said anything wrong.
Yeah.
These are the same people like this. They say stuff doesn't happen. They update no words every month, every week. Like James Stephanie Sterling is a prime example. They said they've been shadow banned and people unsubbed because they were transitioning. Clearly, you're not a favorite trans person or LGBTQ plus person because YouTube doesn't protect you.
Yeah. I mean, I I've been thinking about making a YouTube channel talking about these kind of problems,
Yep.
but to be honest, I just don't want to get all that bad energy of those kind of people.
You'll get a backlash from too. You may just have to dip your toes in the water. You might have more allies than you appear.
Probably. I mean, a lot of people, I think, would think of me as a bigoted person, but I think the term bigot is used incorrectly all the time.
You've heard
Just like
them
the
say
word
bigot.
Nazi.
They say bigot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is by their standards, since I'm gay, my bigotry would cancel out, right? I've seen
You're
people say
tribal.
that.
No, you're the wrong tribe.
Mm-hmm. People think that because you're gay, you have to be liberal, or they think that they can take away your right of being gay, and that's not what it is. And that's one thing I hate about the internet and some
You'll
people.
find this, and I hate to say this goes from Dane's videos. Dane and them claimed that it is. They do a lot of tribalism. And I may have a special on tribalism in YouTube. And this is a problem. Dane claims to speak. Eric claims to speak
The
for the
Google
gay
Trends
audience.
page changed.
See, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Google's Trends.
I mean,
They don't care about any of this stuff.
Mhm.
there's they've been focused on Madam Web lately. Whenever it's like 2 years ago, however long ago it was, they were so focused on He-Man season 1 that now He-Man season 2 is out and it's just crickets. I haven't seen a single goddamn video about He-Man.
It's season 3, Dane. Season 3.
I don't know much about that, so I can't really comment on that.
So the last season's called Revolution
Mm.
because of how Kevin Smith handled the first 2 seasons. No one wanted to watch or cover the third. That's why there's crickets.
Yeah.
Also, channels have to cover what gets them certain views or does it. Someone goes, it's the algorithm. He-Man in the reboot, people gave it 2 seasons. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Smith screwed it up.
Is Kevin Smith related to Will Smith?
No.
Okay.
Smith is like calling someone Bob.
Yeah.
It's a big famous surname. Means absolutely.
Well, the thing is I always hear Smith, and then sometimes I hear that one of his family members is a part of like some sort of what's it called, like project. So that's why I was just curious about that.
No,
Have
you
you not
gotta
seen
think of certain last names. I have to do research, but yeah, no.
Even though it's the same show, it's still doing the same stuff.
See,
The
this is
season
not
was pretty
true.
pretty badass. It was a good season too.
Oh, and you'll see Eric who praises CW shows. Of course, he's going to praise the last season. To summarize it for people, it kicks off from the end of the first 2 seasons, right? He-Man stabbed, dying. The King of Eternia dies. Eternia. Then they install a democracy led by women.
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm making it up? No, there's a reason no one's talking about this. And if they did, they talked about it for a very short time and moved on.
I haven't watched this new one yet, but yeah, need to.
There's not a lot even about Dune. I saw a couple have done Dune stuff, but not a lot.
This isn't true either. When Dune Part 2 was released, everybody was talking about it and leading up to it.
Especially Zendaya stuff. They're just going in on Zendaya, of course.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Which, oh
I
my
wonder.
god.
I wonder why. I wonder
Yeah.
why that she's the target for them.
And you can go look at my talk with Gray the other day. It was like Monday, right? I had did my whole thing when I talked about X-Men 97. And I'll be doing a review of their episode 3. It wasn't just Zendaya, but the movie is 90% good.
Yeah, I know we talked about it in private, and a lot of people didn't like Zendaya because her character didn't make sense in the way in the original story of how
Did
it
you
played
catch
out.
any of what me and Gray talked about?
No, I just know what we did talk about Dune.
Yeah, we talked about it in the back private. That's not Shawnee.
Yeah.
And plus, there's other problems with the film. And it makes sense. A lot of people talked about Dune. So people were like, no one's talking about Dune. Everyone was talking about Dune Part 2. Because it was one of the most anticipated films of the year. It didn't disappoint.
I'm curious
Huh.
what the reason is.
So what's crazy is that, like, reading this right here, which we just read on the website, a
But
Chud reading this is probably getting triggered. You know what I mean? Like, just it's in.
We're just using buzzwords at this point.
that's why it usually goes over my head.
Yeah, they're talking about representation, blah blah blah. Yeah,
I'll
all
just
the
let
all the
this
trigger
play
words
because
from
that's
Chuds are in
playing.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at these flags.
Oh, fun fact. So in Spider-Man, because it's when Nixon's mod tried to do it, because you heard them say, "Oh, they see flags."
Mm-hmm.
Nexus mods, which has been the home for all our Fallout mods for years,
Mm-hmm.
if you try to remove flags or you try to remove pronouns from like Starfield, they ban the mod.
That's very interesting.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, something I don't like about being in being I don't want to call it a gay community because when you call it a community, it means everyone thinks the same, it seems like. I just don't understand having flags everywhere. Maybe that's just
You know how it's been explained to me. Here's how it's been explained. I've dealt with a South African gay man, right? He's one of my things. He's a partner bid with, and he lives in South Africa. He has respect to the people down there. As long as you're not an activist, they hate Western activists.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it online. They don't like Western activists for sure.
Not gay people are not. There's this idea that, like Eric, you see, they view him as a harmonized block.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, there's not enough people in the Western society that rises up and said the activists are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, and that's blanket term for all activists. All activists make their causes look stupid, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. True.
Most I knew of people that were gay. You would never known they were gay. They didn't really care about getting married. You know how the states handled it for years? Civil unions.
Yeah.
Insurance companies recognized you having a partner.
Mm-hmm.
A woman that you have lived with for years could have been your partner, like in a common law marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's a whole diatribe you can do on that.
They were in the
Oh
the Spider-Man game.
no! I'm so
Oh.
triggered.
The Spider-Man game was
Why?
ruined because of these flags.
That's not why we said it was ruined.
What he just said
What
was
about all
so
the
crazy.
churches in the city? Are they not pushing some sort of narrative in the game? But one alleyway of queer flags, and that's the end of the world.
They're pushing an agenda, guys.
if it weren't for the fact that I had to deal with this like on a political spectrum, I'd probably just ignore these guys. They're fucking idiots, but their shit funnels into that. That's what makes it so annoying.
They have an effect. It matters, unfortunately.
Do you think the Eric guy would probably call me a bigot?
In light of both, so they're they're going basically.
You'd probably be one of the gay guys who comments in his comment section that he.
In light of both their self-declared mission and the many questionable
I've seen that
decisions,
before.
Citation needed in the games they've worked on, such as the race swapping of Norse god. How do you know what race this Norse god was?
Get ready for this take.
Oh yeah, I think we talked about it a bit.
This is nuclear,
man.
Nobody knows. I had the same. I had this same fucking argument the other day with.
By the way, it's not a god. She's a Jotun. Jotun.
Is a Jotun like a demigod?
A giant.
Ah.
So in giant. Okay. So, because I'm familiar with the mythology, I call it a Jotun. But in common English, we say it's Jotun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? No one's going to say if you get it wrong, but you either say Jotun or Jotun. Because by the lore, it's a giant. And she's known as a mother of monsters. Because what did Kim say? Kim didn't kind of talk about that. She kind of like didn't say that it was hinting at it.
EVS about like historical shit, mythological shit, whatever when it comes to fiction. Like God of War, Ragnarok, or any God of War game is not a fucking documentary. You can't race swap something that, first of all, it didn't exist in reality. Secondly, you can't race swap something. Or you should be able to race swap something if it's a work of fiction because nobody fucking cares. Yeah. It's a fictional world.
What's wrong with that statement? Zahal? Romeo, I'll let you go first.
To be honest, something I will have to say, I know you said this before, but most people are going to make their gods look like what they would be, the people that they see around them. That was something I've heard you say before when you talked about this.
Yeah.
But another point for me is when a lot of the left-leaning people or very liberal people believe in keeping traditions and culture to people. And the thing is that they're not, I think
they're progressive. These are more progressive people.
Yeah, but the thing is, to me, is they're kind of hypocritical because I think that they think that white people were, in a way, they can just take over, like, they can just change the race of the culture because they're white, or, that kind of, like, sentiment thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it in a lot of things. I mean, but the thing is like, for me, if we were to get, like, an Aztec god show or whatever, you wouldn't make them black, would you?
No.
Right?
No, you know what's funny? There's an entire show, and I recommend the show, and it's an interesting book series, too. American Gods.
I've heard of it.
So, in American Gods, right, it has Mr. Wednesday and thing played by this really good series. There's different gods of different cultures and different spectrums in it. The African gods, like there's the god of the Anansi, Anazazis, and a bunch of other stuff in there too.
Mm-hmm.
They're all played by black people.
Mm.
And they're as the culture is depicted.
Yeah.
Is that problematic of a show?
Mm-mm.
The Irish god sees there's like a leprechaun, like a fairy thing. Like he's like something.
Mm-hmm.
He's depicted as red hair and he looks like an Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Neil Gaiman's book, by the way. There's
okay. I know who he is. I read one of his books.
Like, it's American Gods, they turned it into a show as well. It's an entire universe. But an ancient culture is going to see or imagine gods as they look. Before someone chimes in and says about Egyptian gods, they still look like them,
Mm-hmm.
just maybe with animal heads.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same for Aztec gods. A lot of them aren't human in some way. They sometimes they're humanoid creatures, but they're still, if there was a show about Aztec gods, they would probably be
To
look.
be fair, with the exception of Quetzalcoatl,
Mm-hmm.
that's more Mayan.
Mm-hmm.
Because, fun fact, they couldn't grow facial hair.
Yep.
And Quetzalcoatl was depicted as having facial hair.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole theory to that, but the idea is a god. So, and this whole argument is very stupid, by the way. People were irritated because there was an ad. I could probably find it. I think it was like Norwegian Air did We Were Vikings. We were Vikings, yes. And they used a black person to say that person was a Viking. Yeah, shit you not. Years ago.
It's also kind of funny because you know that I forget what's like We Were Kings. I think it was Kevin Hart and whoever said that, about like Africa and stuff, but they don't understand the history of Africa and that Africa is a multitude of like different ethnic groups, right? I think that just shows how bad our Americans' education system is half the time.
I have to find this because it's funny as hell. It's like it was an airline ad. And people got irritated about it. I wonder if you can even find it. I'll have to dig it up. It's hilarious. I'll find it because it's like people got irritated about it, right? Because it was Norwegian airline or something like it, and it was they tried to use like a black Viking guy. He was like literally Somali saying we are Vikings. And like you can understand why it sounds stupid.
Yeah.
Hold on. But yeah, it's a dumb argument that no one's gonna really care. And Norwegians are very like sensitive. And fun fact, there is still a religion around that.
There is.
It's like akin to Druidism.
It doesn't even exist in mythology. It's essentially
Right.
a completely fictional game with like a mythology backdrop.
Oh God, this fictional piece of work isn't exactly the way it is in some book somewhere. Like,
Yeah. So this is interesting for a couple of reasons. What I have highlighted. So ESG and DEI philosophies, their ongoing deference to it. Okay, so black person, an actual
Interesting screenshot to choose.
an actual journalism outlet would then go on to explain what these mean.
Mm-hmm.
Even just
I bet they go on to explain them
of course
well,
doesn't.
Dane.
why are you just throwing these 3-letter words, these fucking acronyms in here and then not even explaining what they are?
Right.
Well,
There's
because you already know.
there's no link. There's no link to tell somebody
Yeah.
like this is what this is.
And then also the word.
This is where this website screwed up. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This website screwed up and didn't do that. They think this is a gotcha, right? So Dane does gotchas.
Yeah,
I
I don't
did
like
a sim-
gotchas.
I did a simple thing where I think in early on I discussed DEI, and I probably will do an updated version of it. What is its origin? And there's a lot more that's come out now within the last, as I say, last 6 months, because a lot of the money is drying up and it's padded fund companies for years. It's gone into places like Kotaku, Polygon, all of them, kept them afloat for years. It's kept bad games funded. It's kept companies funded. But they're saying it doesn't exist.
Even see them saying
Philosophies?
what the words mean.
The word philosophies is really fucking interesting, considering these are functions of profit. They're a profit
Yeah.
incentive. It's
Yeah.
for investment purposes. And
Oh, they covered DEI and found it was nothing or got it wrong when everyone knew what it was.
it's not a philosophy, because it's just like people wouldn't do this if they didn't make money off of it, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Do you remember what Kim said about not like it sounds like DEI initiatives, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Remember what she said?
I mean, I can't remember half of what she said. She was so boring and nothing really.
So the whole thing about DEI is it's projects that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, on the surface, it doesn't sound like a bad thing. Whose diversity? Whose equity? And inclusion at what cost? Get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking, and that's the problem with DEI. I'd have to do an updated version of what I said before. And a lot has come out about the funds, actually. And these people don't think it exists. They think it's a boogeyman. They don't see it in their kids. Like, you came through high school, right? A lot of talking points, a lot of think tanks use it. Companies use it. What was the show really famous? Like, everyone loved the show Vikings. Like, when I think it went to Netflix, they said, "Oh, there's a black female Jarl." First off, that would never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, most black people would have been slaves in
Mm-hmm.
Viking culture. And she's based upon a person who we know was of white descent.
And there's plenty of companies that don't do it, and they don't have to do it. It's an optional thing.
Oh, look, they didn't even get the type of character right. I don't know about that.
Oh, they're not accurate. Look at these
Oh.
fuckers not being accurate.
Batman Comics is being inaccurate to history.
You there? Let's see.
I love how they just
So-
like, here's a black person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what we're talking about. You know.
It's a dog whistle. That's what I've said all the time.
Mhm.
Like, if you know what this means, right? This is the definition of a dog whistle. If you know what all of this means,
Dog whistles. No, I have to know last time I'm muted. As your religion, mythology, gods are all demigods for the most part, except for the main gods. Even monsters are considered demigods.
Mm-hmm.
They're still considered godlike beings, but not on paper. Like monsters are sometimes equivalent. Because in Azir myth, they can die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, Marvel, where do you think they take the idea Thor can die and just be reborn? Like at one point. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
But the thing with Agrabota, right? She's known as the mother of monsters. When everyone said that is Agrabota, I remember the outrage of it. They said people don't get the mythology. And also, people should be more offended. Why would you have a black girl who's supposed to be the mother of monsters?
Mm-hmm.
Ponder that.
but no one else supposed to know what it means. That's a fucking dog whistle. That's what it is.
Dog whistles.
That's how
the
that's
other
how this
term.
community functions, with a bunch of fucking subtext and dog whistles.
And thought terminating cliches.
Absolutely.
Like this is and then it gets to the
They use it
the
too.
crux of what this is all about. To this end, the tail end of February saw an unsatisfied player create a public Steam curator page aptly titled "Sweet Baby Inc. Detect."
Kerbrudis originally turned against Bungie over the Latin X thing. Or Latinx,
Mm-hmm.
by the way.
Yeah, I know about
These people don't do their research. I don't think many people did research. He led a group initially because he's Brazilian.
Mm-hmm.
He got accused of being a mostly white group when it's largely a mixed group who was pissed off about Bungie using the term Latinx. Tomato, tomato, I guess.
With the intent of warning others regarding which titles available. So,
And all a curator is said what company, the company, and what games they work on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not harassment. They try to get them banned for harassment. Let's see if he gets this right.
Which
okay,
is on their
so-
website.
right, and also
It's not totally on their website. They changed their
That they're
website.
just kind of going. This has a vibe like Sweet Baby Inc. worked on it. Like this is going to become the new thing where they're like, "Oh, I bet Sweet Baby Inc. did this." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're going to see it, that accusation thrown around left and right, even though.
Well, apparently, Sweet Baby Inc. was had complete control over all these video game companies and told them what they had to do. Here's what it is. It's the power of woke companies, right?
This is, and I'm using this word sort of loosely here, but this is basically, I don't know a better word for it. Terrorist activity against companies. Like you're going out of your way to target these companies because you don't like someone they worked with. And so you're making a list of these things and you're going, hey,
so
we're
what
not
is it
recommending
when
these.
you know
I mean,
what's
another thing
funny?
you could say
Because of
is
that.
Eric
it's
doesn't
they're blacklisting,
understand.
that it's cancel culture.
True.
I have to say this. There's this phenomenon happening with the right-leaning people or conservative-leaning people. Liberal people are not. I've said this to Renown privately and publicly as well than other people. So this has been a big thing too, as well as an Archist community, and more than less Sargon kind of adopted it, but he doesn't want to go the full. This is the tactic of using the tactics used against you, against your enemy. I've said to liberal people, don't bring the toy. You're the one who brought the. It's like a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
They brought the toy out of the toy box. You don't like it used on you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The narrative of this is very interesting. So you're seeing a lot of conservative leaning people use tactics of the far left and the cancel groups against them.
Mm-hmm.
You brought the toy out of the toy box. Now you get to deal with it. It's just like in politics in US and Congress, right? When the Democrats did the filibuster rule, do you know what was the Republicans' argument against it as far as the federal level?
I'm not that much into that.
It's going to get used against you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happened since. It's like the rule in politics. Don't bring that toy out of the toy box unless you expect it to be used against you. Now, the big thing you see a lot of conservative groups do differently than the far left is we want responsible, but we do use their tactics and they don't like it. As he said, right? Because there's people who are conservatives that get called SJWs because they use SJW tactics. I will use tactics of the other side or my enemy's tactics, but I don't fully embrace it. That's big.
We don't. I wouldn't say enemies entirely. I don't think that term should be used when we talk about it. Because I mean, unless
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe you understand where I'm coming from.
But you get what I'm saying as well.
Yeah.
They don't like the fact that people are using their tactics to fight them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Sweet Baby Ink
No,
Probably
is.
better
well,
term.
those two as well.
I couldn't think of a better term for it, but what I'm saying is they're trying to scare other companies and video game makers to not work with these organizations, or we're going to put you on this list. That's what they're doing, essentially.
I mean, I think it's also interesting.
Oh, by the way, other people found other games they're working on. Then these other companies are trying to scrub it off. They worked at Flintlock Siege at Dawn. They are working on GTA 6. That's not on this list.
Now they're calling out this almost.
Flintlock Siege at Dawn asked Caboodle to take them off because they had fired Sweet Baby Ink halfway through the project.
Yeah.
Certainly much smaller company, ignoring the really big companies that hire them and actually have the final say in all these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's interesting. They seem to frequently
what happened to judging stuff based on the merit of the work? What happened to
Uh-huh.
that? Like, I thought that was
Meritocracy.
I thought the argument was that like wokeness ruins stuff, but you should judge things based on what they are. That's the argument they've always had, which are two already competing processes of thinking.
Oh,
But
now there's
but but you're going to tell me that you don't like Assassin's Creed Valhalla strictly because they worked with Sweet Baby Ink? So you're not looking at the quality of the game at all? So what does that tell me? It tells me you're bigoted. It tells me you're bigoted.
Dumb and dumber, man. Like, once again, I think I've said this before, but like every once in a while you show up and you're like, yeah, this is why my name is this. What? Like, they don't have any games. They don't make games. They consult on stories. And like, are you actually basing whether or not you're interested in playing a game on this? Because if you are, you're just a fucking chud, man. Like,
I want to comment here about the EVS stuff quickly, though.
Sure.
The reason why I don't whine or argue is I don't like to fight from the comment section. That's not the kind of person I am. If I'm in a stream and somebody's saying something, I'll let them say whatever they have to say. And then if I feel like making a video response, I will. But I don't like to fight from the comments. Like, I find that to be a little bit annoying. For me, it's annoying because it's like I can say something, and if they don't address what I say, it just kind of gets lost in the wall of text. So that's why I don't argue about it. EVS knows how I feel about him. I made it very clear here how I feel about him. So well, I don't really have to, go further than that. But yeah,
that's why I. This was at the beginning of the stream, by the way. If you missed it, I'm not doing because I had some people, and I'm sure there are more still in my video from yesterday, just trying to, some guy was like, "You're a grifter. You're grifting on Endymion now." I'm like, can you explain to me how I'm grifting? He's like, "Oh, you're just making a video, hit another hit piece about somebody you don't like." I'm like, "Nope, you haven't even," because this is before the video premiered. I was like, "You don't even know what the video says, man."
Right.
I was like, "Okay, but if you think I'm a grifter, you're welcome to come onto my show on Friday." And this goes for anybody that wants to make a case. You better bring some fucking facts and shit. That's all I'm saying. Like, you're welcome to come on and explain how I'm a grifter, how I'm wrong, I'm a liar, whatever the fuck you want to say. But like, of course, he immediately was like, "No, I'm not doing that." It's like, fucking cowards, man.
I can't remember the last time you've actually had someone that has followed through on this, like that's actually been here that wanted to argue. Because look, as controversial as I am, Dane has so many my videos. You have so many people that have things they want to say to you, and you're like, here is like all you have to do is email me, and you can come on the show, and they never do.
I've even added now here, like, you can join our uninitiated part of our Discord now. Like, I mean, I'm willing to bet that we'll probably get some people. Somebody was in there the other day dropping slurs, and they got banned pretty quick because hope it was worth it for them. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, join the server, and then I'll send it to you that way if you don't want to do email. Because there was one Chud that didn't want to share his email one time.
Make a fake email. Make a fake one. Gmail's
Yeah.
free. Just make a fake Gmail. Like,
They don't let just anybody make a Gmail. What?
I mean,
you know who the last person was that dude who I didn't know at the time. It was me.
You having mic problems or something?
God, I muted myself. So, Dane's lying really badly here. He allowed Patrick to come on, then lectured him that he was a bigot because he didn't understand trans stuff or act modernisms. I've known of people who have tried to email Dane. See, Dane hasn't had really anybody on that's not an echo chamber since the Adam and Stitch debate.
Mm-hmm.
You
I'm
can
guessing
echo,
that debate made him look bad.
he doesn't allow anybody on. And he hasn't allowed anybody on since Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't argued with me since I ratioed him in the comment section. Now, in reality, this is revisiting a lot of stuff. He wants an open dialogue. Now, there is a twofold problem with this. He censors people and he tries to do stuff. He doesn't do debates anymore or discussions anymore because he cannot take criticism. At least Tony had an open forum, and that blew up in his face as well. He stopped doing it. That's the getaway. I called him a narcissist, and he did whatever. I ratioed him as well. So this is a flat lie. He basically says, make a point or get banned in his chat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does with this. Now, Romeo, when you have this type of thinking, what happens? You create an echo chamber, yes?
Yes.
Now, do you think in this day of tribalism, me as a conservative person is going to talk to a far left person
Probably not.
and think we're going to get reasonality out of them?
Mm-hmm.
If you prove I'm not saying this. This is a problem in modern debate or modern discussion. You need to have middle ground. Dane would not give middle ground. People have tried to email him for a year or 6 months on his various forums, but he won't have anybody on a Friday. Scummy, isn't it?
You were on stream. It was at the very end of a long stream, DJ, and like,
And he's talking about the guy who, a couple of instances, because he won't talk about Patrick anymore. One day you'll see Patrick. Patrick's pretty chill. He basically, he was the guy who did the Injustice comics. And that's who he's talking about. But Dane misrepresents history.
I was
That's
tired
been
of shit.
forever. That's been a long time. That was like last year,
Mhm.
early last year, I think.
And it turns out he was actually a Mike S. Miller, a former comic skater guy that's still of that ilk, but like he's been rejected. Him and Ethan don't like each other, basically.
Yeah,
The guy
Yeah,
that drew the
yeah.
Injustice comic book.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. I'm very accessible. I jump on streams all over the place, even when I get myself in trouble. So if people have stuff they want to say to me, I'm very easy to get to. You know, for me personally, I'm not doing a lot of streaming on my channel, but over here, you know, Dane runs a tight ship. I like the way he does his format for his shows and things.
We call it a cult,
So,
to be
yeah.
honest.
That's good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
I just, you know, my thing is that when I started doing this content,
Cult
I
or
was like, I'd
echo
already
chamber is
studied
a
how
lot
these
what I
people
call
tend
it.
to operate for a while, and I was like, I made some rules for myself that like I'm not going to let them
Mhm.
fucking come in and fucking domineer my platform. They got their fucking platform. They can talk about whatever they want to talk about everywhere else. Like this is my channel. I'm going to control. You know,
And drop
the fucking,
penises,
Yeah.
and boobs and
Yep.
Could you-
Spell out the N word with like one comment at a time.
Right.
They've tried to do that before.
You know
I've
it would
seen
happen.
that
Like you guys know
before.
in the chat, you know it would happen the minute the door went open. Like the way Tony runs his show, or at least he used to. He doesn't do it anymore, but he would put like the link at the top of the chat. Fucking, I have to give him props on that because I do not have the balls to let people just come into my street because I just know for a fact they would do something to try and get our channels.
Oh yeah,
taken
100%.
down.
That's the only. That's the thing that's keeping
Yeah,
me from
so-
trying out the call-in. I want to do a call-in show. Like I was thinking that might be something. Maybe people are more inclined to do that. But I'm, you know, trying to make
He
sure
doesn't know how to do it or take criticism.
I don't know. Be prepared for any eventualities of people trying to derail the thing because they definitely will try.
Yeah, with call-in
yeah.
shows, you have a little bit more control though because then you
But
can just
yeah.
mute people if they
We'll
call in
probably
and
do
they
the first
do
part of the
something wrong.
second half.
In
Basically-
StreamYard, it's a lot harder because you have to actually find the thing and then move it and all of that.
Because there is
So-
no nuance.
We would need
in the
a
second
call
It's not too hard to
screener
stream
for sure. We would need a screener. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's I don't know. What else do you guys want to hear some more about this bullshit, or is that have we already given it too much of our time?
With the
Yeah,
Sweet
we've
Baby
al-
Inc. stuff.
Yeah.
We've already figured out that Sweet Baby Inc. are woke communists trying to take over the world.
Sure.
We've proven
course.
that.
That's not the
They
take.
control all companies. They control all video.
That's some very oppressive shit, isn't it? That's very
Yeah.
anti-American, honestly. So
We just be ink.
So
I mean, I would think that like if more people like
see, this is the whole Endymion. I'll go to the next part, but yeah, you get the idea. There's not a lot of context in that one. Think about towards the end. I've never seen someone outside. Well, Tony's the only other person I've ever seen transform. See, they're a leftist They're a leftist channel that entirely misrepresent.
Yeah.
They say, why do people use Google Trends? Dane uses Google Trends. Now, I'll let you take on this first part because you probably haven't this part. So.
but we're also really stupid.
Here you are. So we already started. So you can probably speak more representation.
Mhm.
Now, this part, I probably wouldn't go through this because there's not a lot of nuance. I'll probably get your opinion on this right here. This is his whole take, by the way, on the. This was like a week later, I guess, after they educated themselves.
The gay card carrying people in the world, the trans card
Now tell me if you agree with this. This is how he views this.
carrying people in the world, queer people in the world, whatever, however you want to say it, that we have this ability to make things better for us, but we just choose not to do
it's
it.
him.
We choose to do it in the hardest way possible. Like coming up with a consultation firm for marginalized communities that just helps with the narrative in games, that is a tool for people to use. If in fact we were doing all of these things and we had the power to do all these things, wouldn't we just be doing them? And if we were, wouldn't it be covered up in a way that you wouldn't even know it? I mean, I feel like it's just a weird thing that we're so smart as gay people that we're able to do all of these like almost insidious, like to a Cobra type stuff from G.I. Joe, where we're inside governments and facilities and businesses and doing all this covert stuff, but we're also really stupid because of the pronoun things, and we're really dumb because of all the pride events we have. Like which, yeah. So
The enemy
that
is
was-
both weak and strong. That's
yeah. And I have to bring that up every
with.
time because I don't think people are quite aware that that is the sort of that's how they function. That's what they do. They create this narrative where we're out there doing all these awful things, but we're also so weak and they're winning the war. And that's what makes it propaganda. And that's why people don't understand that. They get wrapped up in it and they don't look at it from an outside perspective. And if queer people were able to just turn the tides, why would they be functioning as a consultation firm for more representation in media? Like, why would they have to do that? Why would a company like Sweet Baby Inc. have to exist if it were just so easy to take over everything? It just,
Yeah. I mean, I was just so I didn't know this, but it makes sense now why I guess a lot of.
Okay, so what's your take? So let me say something on this part. I'm going to go through this whole one because this is important. Now, in reality, right, you're a gay person, you see this.
Mhm.
How do you feel representation is handled on your side?
This might sound weird, but there's even drag queens that talk about it. I've heard and seen clips. A lot of gay people don't like I don't know if this is the statistic, but a lot of gay people don't like to see gay people in media. And it's not all the time that it's bad representation.
Yes.
It's that it can just, I don't know, not a lot. It's like, I think people expect that gay people want to see gay things, and that's not entirely true. Gay people want to see things that aren't always gay. I feel like people like this Eric person seems to put their personality around their sexuality and who they like, and it and I think that games that deal with representation and do it correctly are games that unintentionally do it. They just write the story and it just happens, I there's I mean, I think a good game that, I'm not trans, but I think a good thing would be like Celeste, as I've heard. It's more of a
I've
settler
heard
game.
that the how the company, right? Because to reiterate, this part I make a little bit gray, but I'm going to go over it now. The thing is, all they do say it's a chud culture war, and then Dane doubles down on the representation later in this video, this section. But the whole thing is, Eric claims as a gay person to be a So the idea of infiltrating a culture. I mean, what the funny part is, right, Romeo? I look at it from a perspective of it takes a generation to change a culture, roughly. You're probably not familiar with where that is. I may have to send you the video in Discord and in private one day to watch. And I recommend to people it's Yuri Bleshinov or Bezmenov. He was an ex KGB who, ironically, I actually have a magazine that he worked on that he escorted the American journalists around. He was responsible for flipping like India's government into communism way back when, during the era he was over there. So he talks about subversion of a culture.
Mhm.
Now, set the stage because this is something that's forgotten about. And the funny thing is, it was the Call of Duty Cold War trailer that re-brought light to Yuri Blesnov. He was an ex KGB guy. He fled, and he was in a higher rank of the KGB, or at least the marketing wing, so to speak, of their group. So he said the stages of subversion take 10 to 15 years. Now, this was done in 1985, a lecture, if you ever see it, for people who see this. So, for them to flip a culture, I promise this all ties back in. This makes sense to you, Roman.
Mhm.
He said you take a culture off their history, what makes them their culture, and then get them into other interests like gender studies and other things. What does that sound like today?
Yeah.
You
It,
separate the main culture. Now, the funny thing is, this is how the communists flip countries.
mhm.
But he also noticed something very interesting. It's like that's what the Russians never found out. If they did, they thought it was far scarier. See, when he was in India during the 60s and the 70s, he saw the hippies. He saw how quickly they radicalized and what they did in the West when they got home. Now, you couldn't, I guess, 80s, you started seeing the prominent rise of gays being accepted to a degree.
Yeah.
90s, you saw it more. But it all ties into they subtly subverted the main culture over time. What have you seen within the last 10 years? You have to make a brand new culture. Because he uses the example, everyone thinks it's KGB goes in and influences. Like, they would take like a professor, educate them. They're not a main asset or a pawn. They go back, they do influence a student, right?
Mhm.
Like the founders of Black Lives Matter were all trained Marxists,
Yeah.
or were. And then when it comes to culture, like gay culture and gender studies and type stuff, they found, actually, unironically, these people radicalized more than they could ever radicalize a public. But it comes that they're eating their own. So in the
Uh,
modern,
Cynical Finch is in the comments.
I see Cynical Finch. How are you? I'm not going to go over this whole last part, by the way. I just want to cover this one. So the idea, right, of an activist group that I saw that he basically Eric is so on Eric, right? That's why I
Mhm.
asked you about representation. You see it in a younger generation, right? Because in reality, the okay, on this part, right?
Mm.
Because you see, so the idea, right, was in their stages of it, right, before they flip the culture, because we've been in crisis for a while. Because you'll have to see it when it, if I ever go over it, or I'll send it to you, Romeo, to go over and look at. It's very interesting to look at because what they do is they would send an agent in to subvert. And then when they took over, the useful idiots were shot.
Yeah.
See, Finch, this would find interesting if you ever look into Yuri Blazhenov. It's actually really in. But what do these tactics sound like now in modern America? The far
That-
left? The far left?
It sounds like the far left and socialism in a way.
Yeah, right?
Mm.
Now, that's why I asked the question about representation. How do you feel? So, how do you could speak for, I guess, you would more the audience, and do two parts. How do you feel representation is handled on your side, and how do you feel yourself? What do you hear, and then what do you feel yourself?
Mm-hmm. I hear you're a cat. It's okay.
It's okay. It's bound to happen. It's one. So, first, you can detail. I'll let you have the floor. How do you feel being gay or being LGBTQ was handled in the modern era in representation?
Uh,
Is it over, under?
So I might like come in.
You're low.
It's like I might leave it.
You may have to reset it. Well, I'm sure he'll be back. Nah, Finch, I'll have to give you your thing. No, but the Yuri Blazhenov thing is what you should look at. It's about how subversion works. It's pretty interesting. It's been a standard model. It's why they could never flip the United States many years ago. In fact, you're familiar with it, yeah. The ironic part is it was brought back again by a Cold War trailer. It's really interesting because how he describes it, and it was done practically the year I was born. And it's play by play. I'll be back. No, because let me go back and do that. Because this is his. So his right. Eric is you Finch, you're not familiar with Dane.
Coming up with a consultation firm for marginalized communities that just
Okay, he's back.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Basically,
I'll let you go first. So, question I have for you is, what do you hear from your side on how representation is handled? Is it over or is it under?
like from other people, I guess online, you would say other people think that we're underrepresented, but in my opinion, we're being overrepresented in some ways. And I've noticed it's more in a sexual way. Am I allowed to talk about that? Sexual?
You're
being
fine.
sex-
We're over the 2 hour mark. But don't make it explicit. But
So yeah, I feel like have you seen those book bans going on right now with the LGBTQ books and everyone's talking bad about it,
well, you're putting it in the book bans, which are basically sexualizing material that shouldn't be in school libraries.
Yes. So I feel like that in a way a lot of these people think their representation for gay people is sexual. When, I mean, do you see that?
Sometimes, yeah.
I don't always see
It's
it
weird because it depends on how to look at the culture, right? So when I was growing up, we knew gay people existed. Like you could have a gay mechanic and they didn't have to be flaming.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't. I mean, for years, I knew the person who managed at the Wendy's I was at, and was one of the best managers I've ever seen, was a gay man. Seriously,
Yeah.
never knew.
Yeah. That, but going on with what I was saying, for sure, it's very sexual. There's always something has to do with romance. And I mean, that's what being gay is you're sexually attracted to the same sex, right? But that's not gay people's personality that they make in the media. And I and that's why I say for me it's hard because you can say it's underrepresented in the way that they're just showing the sexual part or the romantic part, or you can say it's underrepresented or overrepresented as it's a lot of just sex stuff, and showing gay people kissing and stuff. That's like, I don't know. That
Even DJs, right, in manga cultures show the more romantic side because what was the thing we saw with the Kim Belair, like when she was talking about working on Validate? She was uncomfortable with the question. You remember what she said in Validate?
she
When
was
you said your ex was a monster,
mm-hmm.
people dance around like people dance around that representation thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you talk about lesbian couples or gay couples without the high rates of domestic violence?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
They're interesting dynamics, right? And
Yes.
it's forgotten about. And that actually bothered her, right? Because it's like, oh, but your ex is a person or whatever. Okay. But when I say like representation, like, so on your side in the discords you hang at, do they feel that representation is over saturated with LGBTQ plus representation now, or still under?
Um, I would say it's a mix of, it just depends on who you ask, but to be honest, a lot of gay people are probably going to say that underrepresented, even though I feel like it's overrepresented sometimes.
Yeah, like every
It,
show has like five gay characters, or like one gay character for every two.
and that's what I find weird about it. I know gay people hang around gay people, yeah, but there's not going to be that many gay people like, in a story. It's a minority, right? It's most people are straight or,
Yeah,
some. So it's weird to see so many gay people in, like, let's say, a TV show that's about like 8 friends and all of a sudden they're all gay, you know? Does it really make sense?
and its question is if in a modern Gen Z is it a fad? Finch, if I asked you, do you remember how it was handled when we were growing up, like with L word and all of that? Like you knew about it, but it wasn't a huge deal. I mean, it was handled so differently. It's not like the 90s. We accepted it was there, right? But you didn't have the activist, right? If you wanted to be married or you had your partner covered under insurance or whatever, it's relatively easy. Oh, yeah. That was very funny about Gen X people. We didn't care. Remember the L word? Finch? Queer eye for the straight guy? Hell, it was played off as a meme, but it went out via comment. Now I have to ask too on the other subpart before I go other. Do you think there is a fad to fit in to be LGBTQ plus that maybe influences uh, things?
Mm.
Like people don't know what they are because I've heard stories from people, and I think I've seen it in some high school kids around where I'm at. It's so funny sitting in a place and I'm just watching kids in high school discuss stuff. Like I'm just trying to focus, and I look up and I'm like, yeah, all the people near the high school that I used to go 2 years ago, half the band chicks are either bi or gay.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. Volleyball is
this
the
might
same way.
sound weird, but I feel like people think that being gay is cool, and it is like a fad in some way.
Yeah, Finch. By the way, I'm gonna say this, Finch. I live in an area, and I was like, it's such the weirdest conversation. While Romeo sitting in like a place trying to drink your morning coffee, and like on a day off, just chilling in public, and people are just having this conversation. I watched a group of girls just have a conversation.
You might not
One,
want to say that on stream because it kind of sounds
I got a phrase that's gonna sound weird. Like I live, I'm saying like, bear in mind in Texas we have a lot of schools, right? I'm just, it's in public. I would have not heard that 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even. Well,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I don't know. This Gen Z is pretty messed up, and honestly, I have no hope for the rest of the generations coming after.
you have no idea. And more funny, it's actually a Chick-fil-A, by the way. It's supposed to be a
Zero.
Christian organization, and like a third or fourth of their employees are gay.
Yeah,
It's
I
funny
mean,
as shit, by the way. It's funny as hell.
mm,
Yeah, no, I've actually seen it, and I'm just like, that's why I bring it and phrase it that way. Like in high school, like I've heard stories. They're not dating in high school, and they go, "You're gay" or whatever. It's like, um, I mean, what's your take on that? Like, so it is a peer. It could be a peer pressure thing.
in a way, Vosh, I think I've talked about this maybe on Vincent's stream,
Yeah,
but he just says that he's gay even though he's not. You can tell he's not gay. He
he
wouldn't
says
have
he's pan.
that. Have you seen his Twitter? It says gay. That's
I've
what he
heard
put
he's
on.
pan. I didn't know.
Well, he says he's pan, but then on his Twitter he says I am a gay streamer. And to me, that's first of all false advertising. And second of all, yeah, it makes me feel like he's just doing that so that people like him more because that's what he wants to attract is people like that. I didn't do anything with it.
He mute himself. No, I don't think they're lost. I don't think Gen Z's lost. I think there's going to be that normal equilibrium's going to come back. It's just taken a very long time for the Overton window to come back.
Yeah,
I
I'm looking
think
at.
it.
Go ahead.
I think it's taken that because when Barack Obama got elected, even I said this. I felt the Overton window got kicked over so far to the left. It's taken a long time to come back. So, prime example, right? So, when Barack Obama got elected in the U.S., date how old I
Mhm.
am and the kind of adult that I am. there was just people cheering. Black people and other people were like cheering because, oh, we got a black president. Then all the politics in America pretty much kicked over, started shifting towards the left.
Yeah.
Everything in that time period started shifting that way.
When he was elected, I was in first grade.
So the concept, right, is it's taken that far for the Overton window to come back. Like, we're not even over the hill. So when I see representation, it started off there with DEI. And it comes in, that ties back into Sweet Baby Inc. here. I'll get back and finish saying. Like, you started seeing ideas creep in. Like, I guess you started seeing more trans people, and they're like, oh, there's more visibility. But see, I was wondering how much of that was a fad. And see what, Romeo, you're like 20, so you probably, last 10 years when you were in high school, so you know more like that. Like, if you want to talk about your CRT thing, like Dane says CRT doesn't exist. See, like, as a gay person, like, I've known gay people, they're not embarrassed. I think it's because they don't want to be lumped in with activists.
Yeah, I have conversations with other, well, I will say older gay men. I think I've said even before on this stream.
Yeah.
And they entirely agree. They don't want to be lumped in with the new people. That's something that I've been seeing a lot, and that's not everyone. There are very left-leaning older gay men. I mean, you saw Eric or whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
Eric debunks, yes. Eric.
But I honestly think that that's not his total beliefs. I think he's playing it up. You know, you get that vibe. Maybe you don't, but I do. He also kind of sounds insecure in the way that he talks. Like he's not secure in who he is.
That's
That's just
probably part of it. I mean, Dane's group, Dane's supposed to be demisexual. He's supposed to be demisexual straight, but he doesn't do that. Oh, yeah, Finch, be thankful you had never had to deal with half what we have to deal with. Being gray.
But yeah, it's a fad in some ways. I more not being gay, but more of, I would say, non-binary people is more of the fad right now.
So it's non. Now, you personally, how do you feel media treats you?
I feel like, okay,
Your
this
agent,
might,
your side.
okay, so the media kind of treats us like,
And this, I'm asking from your opinion now. How do you personally feel?
I feel like the media that you see online treats people like me very, like, this might sound so weird, but like maybe a demigod in some way. I don't know. It seems like, well, no, maybe not at the same time
Is it like
because,
a special class or a
yeah,
inclusion kind of thing?
and that kind of goes into the class I told you about.
Yeah, the
That's
CRT. They didn't call it CRT.
Yeah, it kind of had that same vibe. I noticed that the people who were, this might sound so wrong and so weird, but people who were darker skin toned or had more of an ethnic background or race that was more of a minority were seen as a higher being in the school. Like they were seen as being, um, they're pitied to the point where they became like we all,
We
I don't know how to explain it.
we see that, right? Because we call that the POC culture.
Yeah, and
Now you basically get called BIPOC now.
I don't like that term because I don't like being lumped in with all of,
God.
like, the thing is people say people of color in a way, and
POCs, and then you have now BIPOC.
you should if they just wanted to make the term, just make it POC. Did you know that half of the people who believe in people of color don't believe Asians are supposed to be in the people of color thing?
Yes, I do. That's
That
hilarious.
is
The
that's
fact that
some
I've heard you say that, that's funny.
yeah, I've seen it in comments. People were like, this
Yeah.
lady said something about being part of BIPOC, and she was like, she's Asian, and they were like, well, you don't have a skin tone, you're light.
That's because they consider Asian people the white people of Asia.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that, I don't know. For me, I don't like being lumped into that because maybe I just had a hard time with my identity of being half Hispanic because
Yeah.
I was stuck between two worlds, And I
Yep.
guess to see when you look at, how do you say it? When you look at what people think now, um, just the way that white people are being treated in some ways, like, I don't know. I mean, my mom's been treated pretty bad. Like, a lot of people say that BIPOC people can't be racist, but that's not the truth. I mean, we're seeing it with our own eyes, right? Like,
To
we're
be
starting.
fair, what's funny about the myth of mm, blacks and Mexicans and that, or even Asians, people are like, they can't be racist. But I'm like, have you ever been into one of these communities?
Yeah, let's just say some of the Mexicans I know don't say some good stuff about Asians or black people.
Or white people sometimes?
Well, my mom was called gringa all the time, but I don't know if you would call that a racial slur. It's more of like,
Dear
I
me,
don't know,
Tamara, at this point.
but it annoyed her, and
Oh, it would annoy anybody, especially in Texas. I hear that
but
a lot.
that's not even the only point. There are white Mexicans and there's black Mexicans. There's
White, they call them white. Yeah. Uh,
Mhm.
that's why. But I ask you thus, yeah, because see, Eric and other activists like Dane feel that gay people are underrepresented. I feel like a lot of shows, you always have like a 2-to-1 ratio now.
Yeah, um,
Like,
I don't see why he says it's underrepresented. I do see it's underrepresented in the way that have you noticed the gay people just don't have a personality except being gay?
that's writers.
Mm-hmm.
Being
So
gay is their personality.
so that's the issue is that it's underrepresenting gay people in the way of not giving them a character or personality, but making gay being their personality. Do you get that?
Yeah. I think it's interesting Finch brought this up. Cree. Wow. Take Cree instead of French. What's
Yeah,
funny? What's funny is the Romeo wouldn't know what Cree is. Gee,
Creole.
no, Cree. He's in Canada.
Oh,
I can't believe you got Cree culture up there. Really?
see, this is kind of showing about
What the hell? Ah. No, okay, just for the reference, right? Cree is a Native American population in Canada.
okay. Maybe you should have just said a Native American like sector, because this might sound weird, but my mom is not entirely white. We're related to Pocahontas.
Interesting. Hopefully, you don't go back as far as the Mohawks.
We're related to one of the siblings of the sister who actually helped capture Pocahontas to give to, you know.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait,
Mm,
is that your girlfriend in the background?
no, just ignore it. Well, see, yeah, Kree, right? Because I know of Kree because I play. Well, they're funny. They're really big civilization or sub civilization, and but they were really big native people at one time
Hmm.
that survived a lot of purges and a lot of moving around.
Yeah,
They
I'll look into
were,
it. That sounds very interesting. I'm interested in Native American culture.
but yeah, the but it's interesting, right? When you have representation, like the concept is. I ask this because Eric thinks, oh, because Dane, as you see, oh, they see a black person type of thing. No, I think Dane looks at that as good because the idea, like, how do you feel that progressivism has represented you guys? Like, what's your take on that? Like, progressivism.
My take on progressivism and like
Yeah.
the gay culture, or just
And like
in
progressives, like, they think you move a society forward because they act like being gay hasn't been accepted in 20 years.
yeah, that's something I don't understand. Yes, in some places, I think being gay in the country might have not been, but in the city, you probably would have been treated better. I mean, I've been called some slurs at my job in, um, but not in, but they say it in private behind my back.
I wouldn't say to your face, no.
Yes, I mean, people aren't smart or aren't like, how would you say it? People aren't going to say that in front of your face because they'll face ridicule, right? But yeah, I've seen that even in shows, being gay is like, or how do I say it? Wait, let's see what Cynical Finch said.
Yeah,
Cowards, cowards.
it
Yeah, they're
is. It is.
cowards.
It is. It's funny, depending on culture, right? Like,
Mhm.
bear in mind, I'm a very cultured person. I'm not quite sure other, like, for God's sakes, I deal with people a lot more, and it's like, well, have you never seen this before? Well, I have. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think.
if I had a dime for every time I guess I'm very lucky that in the community I have been in, like, I was able to win the respect of a lot of Hispanics or Mexicans, like anywhere I was. Like, it's one particular job because it was hard as hell. They don't
Mhm.
talk derogatory behind my back like as they do others. And that's an achievement, by the way. Massive
Yeah,
achievement.
I will say that Mexicans seem very welcoming. They're a lot more,
Welcoming but
um,
judgmental as hell.
yeah, but they're a lot more familial to people, Um, I don't know how to say it, but it's kind of like, how would you say it? There's like a Mexican thing where they always say that there's one white boyfriend for the daughter, and they accept them as their own. It's so funny. I think it's so cute, but um, I mean, I see that in a lot of the times. I don't know. I sometimes I feel like, mm,
But this is why I say in a lot of shows, why does every show have to have like it's gonna come to the point, like, in current culture, characters are gonna be very gay or non binary.
well, this is what I think. They're probably gonna make every character a non-binary, femme acting or masculine acting character with an androgynous look, but they're also pansexual but also gay at the same time. And that's what that's probably what we're gonna see in the future, and that's
Well,
something
you know
that
what's funny? Okay, what's your thoughts on the erasure of the uh, bisexual umbrella?
so There was a guy online I was online dating with, and he was bisexual. To be honest, I feel like bisexual people are just confused people
Well, you know what
because
I'm talking about, right? They've redefined the
yeah,
umbrella term for like a bow, because a lot of the other LGBTQ
yeah,
plus is basically the bisexual umbrella, as it's called.
yeah. I mean, pansexual and stuff like that. I don't think there's anything called pansexual. I think
There is.
maybe it's just
It's
bisexual.
misused. Sorry, I'm.
That's what I always said. I said, isn't pansexual just bisexual? You know? But I think sometimes just people are confused on who they like.
Captain Jack Harkness
What?
from Doctor Who.
Oh my gosh, I haven't I for anything from Doctor Who.
It's not that bad.
If we want to talk about like the I might as well say something about like the critical race theory class thing.
Yeah, you can get into that.
Yeah, basically, every homeroom and study hall we had these people, counselors, come in with worksheets where we had to take tests online, and these tests it said that based off of my answers that I was a cis white male, and I still have those results and the site that we used. So I might send that to you. Um, these people, yeah, I see your comment.
Yeah,
Mm,
no, by the way, Finch thinks I'm terminally online. I can debunk this very easy. I'm the person who predicts the trends before.
so you're like every show that guy that makes like The Simpsons or whatever, like they predict the future kind of thing.
It's the canaries in the coal. I get to be part of the canaries in the coal mine. By the time someone in Kidda's groups heard about it, I've already heard about it in most of the stuff about it. All of them claim, they go, "You terminally online." I'm like, no, I hang in information gathering circles.
Yeah, and I will say, yeah, nobody is wrong about the critical race theory classes, you know? It's real. I mean, I don't know if every school had
I
that.
know
I
you
was in
are,
like
Phage.
yeah, I was in like a charter school-ish, but it was also
See,
mixed with
I didn't
it,
know about this. You talked about this. See, Eric says this stuff doesn't exist. I've heard him say this. I've heard
it
Dane
does.
say this
I
doesn't
think I'm just
exist.
gonna have to get the evidence for you. It's something that maybe I had deleted that email. It was a school email I had, but
Yeah, Finch
um,
people I run into. Hold on a sec. Finch, so you've heard about the CRT teaching. They don't call it CRT. We do. Or you call it DEI classes in schools. That's actually in public schools. Yeah. I feel for you more in Canada than in the States. But yeah, but you don't know it is CRT or DEI.
yeah, I also called that school out on their bullshit. Don't get me wrong, I fought back. I was like, I got during COVID is when my second year of that school was. That was not fun. The people, I fought with people about.
No, but what's funny is, eh, see, the average thing is when you see a conservative person and a person who's gay talk, or someone like your side of the aisle, Romeo, is they always think we're like. See, I can agree to disagree with you. But like, oh, you just think grooming kids or whatever.
Mhm.
That's why earlier I said Dane and them and these activist people ignore when they have these people exposed that lead organizations. They're found out to be maps. And this
Mhm.
happens every week or every other week.
Yeah.
Call it for what it is, but they go, you don't call out churches. Churches call out those people all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's bad actors everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I don't get that. And to be honest, predators will try anything and anyhow to get to
People.
their person of interest.
Yep.
So I think that's what people don't understand. No, they're people who, how do you say it? I don't want to sound really bad. Not,
No, there's terms you have to dance around the terms of page rows or maps or PDFs. You have to play with the word.
yeah, and I want to clarify, not every person who's trans or LGBTQ, whatever,
No,
are predators or just groomers, because there's different
every
types of.
community. Okay, here's something I've learned about every community, unironically. Give V said this today on during the D&D stream he was doing. And it's funny that something I know. Get enough people in a population or a fandom, you're bound to have something there.
You get those bad actors.
In a large enough population pie of a population, you're large enough to have a segment that does stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And to be fair, like I remember back when Adam and Stitch, a lot of us found, I think majority I found Kidda when she covered around the debate between Bob and them, Bob and Eric July, and then like from the Adam and Stitch. That's when I met Gray. But I've known Vincent because he used to be in the gaming circles. It's funny how I'm working with people that I've either come across or 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah. You're gonna have to introduce me to some new people, because your group seems to be very interesting, nice people.
Oh my! I kind of wish for my channel that I could get some people from Arch's channel over here. They are Arch's community that have been there a while. Like I came out from.
They're gonna take that out of context. I came out.
No, they won't. See, a lot of it is when you come into YouTube, you start off in a spot.
Hmm.
Um, and look, Romeo, you're welcome on Kidda's Discord anytime. A lot of it's actually an open dialogue, despite how many left-leaning centrists exist there. But seriously, it's a good community, and it's less of a thing of. Uh, but the concept, right, is when I ask this, right, is people like Eric and Dane say as cis white males, we fear what people do. A lot of us, like when I say, okay, you wouldn't have an issue, I say, with a don't say gay bill, right? I'm just saying don't teach that material to minors.
Yeah, I mean, to me, people will figure out their own sexuality on their own. And to be honest,
Yeah.
you know, I don't like being shown gay stuff in, I don't know. Is that weird to say, being gay? Because I know there's, Trixie and Katya, those drag queens,
Yes.
they don't like seeing, they cringe whenever they see a gay character in a show. And I think that just shows.
Gundam uses them a lot.
Yeah, I used to watch them all the time, but they are very left leaning to the point where they said some stuff about I don't really want to talk about it. So
But here's the thing, right? When you talk about representation, I think everyone should, because it's really funny how everyone represents BIPOC funnily. Because you're going to come up in an election cycle. I'm going to be very curious to see how Democrats handle this election cycle. Last
yeah.
time they marginalized white men for BIPOC people.
Mhm.
Now, they still have a large majority of the black voting bloc. I'm going to be curious how much of the Asian voting bloc they get to keep.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of America likes to hate on Asian people. Is that bad to say? That's what I've noticed.
It's weird. As I say, they get considered white people of the East.
Yeah, I honestly find that
See,
really.
what's funny about Finch, about being in Canada where you are, I brought this up earlier to him, to Romeo. Did you know, like, where you are? Like, I sent something to Multi, he didn't know about it. So if a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old decides they're not the right gender, the school can override the parents. Um, that's now happening in the U.S. Yeah, there's the stories. We're starting to see this now in the U.S. There's like the story, you can look it up in Canada. The father lost custody of the daughter because they literally said, because all he did was like misgender his daughter and try to get him for hate speech. That was in Eastern Canada.
Uh, let me think. Oh, yep.
Yeah, and apparently in U.S. we're already seeing it. We're seeing our
Honestly,
own version
if
of
it gets
this.
to that point, I'm ending it all. JK.
We're doomed as a race. No, I think it's a good series. Like, let's see, like the CRT, right? Because I have to look, because it's not as much as I want to cover it. I think like it's a more interesting discussion, because if people try to have a conversation about this, how do you feel as representation yourself? That's why I ask you.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people, dude, I cringe when I see badly written white characters in games.
You mean how this might be weird, but how Japan shows like Americans? Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
It's so funny. It works both ways, though.
Mm,
You gotta understand, it works both ways. Yeah, but the thing in Finch, I'll have to see how I'll dig back up and found it. Find it. It's literally a course. They call it something in Canada. It's not DEI, but it has to deal with orientation stuff.
maybe
It's
that's why my state is getting more progressive like this, is because we live right across from Canada, like across Lake Erie.
blame Canada. Yes.
Yeah.
Soggy.
And yes,
Yes. Yes. Sogi. Yep.
we are brothers. We are brothers. We are across from each other. Yep.
Yes, it's Sogi. Yes. Surprising. I'm glad actually you heard about it. Sogi, right? Yeah, and that's supposed to be like, because what? Like, younger generations, I don't know, because like, I didn't say the other part I asked Romeo. How did you come to your own philosophy? Did you just did you learn it on your own, or did you see the
Oh,
errors of the ways around you?
I think it's a mix of everything. Maybe it's because I grew up in a Christian household, or maybe it's I don't know. To me, I just saw all of the bullshit happening around me, and I thought, like, what the hell is going on with people? I don't know. I guess people might. Okay, this might sound weird, but I was the one that was kind of bullied growing up, and
Yeah.
maybe that also had something to do with it. I was called weird and a creep, and a lot of people assumed I was probably gay, which is true. But, you know, I don't know. I'm not gonna get into like that
No,
kind of
I
stuff.
just ask how, because how do people find like their quote unquote awakenings, right?
I think
I
it
would
was my school.
I was always taught to be open minded
Me too.
and never always question around you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a middle school teacher who said that to us, even though he was crazy and threw a desk at a student. But
But he had a point.
he had a point. He had a point. And that's actually a meme in the gay community. If you don't know that video, he has a point. I think it was a drag queen, something like that. But
But
yeah, I think maybe the high school is when I started to make my own philosophies and stuff. Just seeing all the fucking shit of like everything. Do you know how many green-haired people we had?
a bunch.
I actually took a screenshot. I will send it to you. Because we
God,
can't show it on
Gardner.
stream because they're kids, you know.
Yeah.
But everyone at that school has hair that's either this
Multicolored or dyed.
it was so bad. Everyone went by they, them, or Caesar, or like their own version, like cupcakes, you know?
Did you have
People
any bird folk?
Yeah, we had a girl come in as a chicken.
No. That's
She
the
was in a chicken
TikTok.
suit.
That's the TikTok memes. No.
We had people identify as some, yeah. I actually used the gender neutral bathroom because they somehow turned my little safe area into a gender neutral bathroom, and I had a girl come in the guy's, well, we can't really say that anymore, bathroom, and just pee next to me. I felt very violated. I don't know.
That's funny because that's interesting because this perspective is, yeah, this is what basically progressives want, kind of thing. See, Finch, the conversation probably, I'll probably break this up and stick this out elsewhere in a video.
Oh, I could go on. These people were crazy. People came in cosplay. Our school didn't have a dress code, so people came in stripper outfits. And they said that they were just going to express themselves, you
Oh
know?
no.
People come in drag, but my good friend is a drag queen, so I'm not going to say something bad about drag queens. But yeah, people came in drag, people shaved their eyebrows off, people had 18 piercings. You could see people's nipples through their shirt, like the women. Oh, they didn't go by girls, so I forgot. They went had their nipples piercing through. I
I
will
can
show.
only imagine being a teacher in that school. They walk on eggshells.
Oh no, not just the teachers were like that too. I had a teacher who was gay. She was the meanest person. I'm glad
Oh
her.
God. Finch, do you remember the goth emo era of the 90s in high schools? With Jinko jeans?
I'm gonna send you some screenshots of people at that school. I have old photos of me in the school. It's crazy. It's like parachute pants. Wow.
No, no, there's better. Okay, I have a question. Finch,
Mhm.
did you have the kids who had they were probably Marilyn Manson hardcore rockers.
We
They had the jeans that had the straps on it between the legs. Now that I would love to see if it was outside my area. Oh no. I'm sorry. I knew someone who did that. And I think every year we always had a kid who dressed in our school that dressed like that 80s skin tight punk look.
Honestly, everyone, there was a thing in my school where they tried to do throwbacks. So they would dress like 90s, and we had people dress exactly as you said. But it was 10 times worse.
I'm
I
sure.
I had to leave the school because during COVID stuff happened and
Yeah.
I had problems. Because I told a girl I didn't get kicked out or anything, but I got in a fight with this black girl because I told her that the N-word shouldn't even be used because it's still derogatory and just using it causes
Whoops.
more. Yeah. Maybe it's not something I should have said. Probably not smart.
Well,
But
representation make them feel uncomfortable. They kick you out.
well, I wasn't kicked out. My grades weren't getting good because of
The
the COVID
school.
stuff happening.
No, the whole thing about parachute pants that was different. Now there is some, but it's more that Jinko or parachute. Like actual, those pants are awful. Be surprised if any of them survive from that era. Like, but nah, the bench. If you know what the ones I'm talking about, Romeo doesn't know the ones I'm talking about. So think of very baggy jeans. They had straps on them. Man, it's actually a miracle that we survived the 90s. They have like the straps that go around the legs or between them. Like so you would like if you grabbed them, you could literally just trip them. I'm wondering if they still make them because if they did, and it was always the extreme goth kid. Oh, that was always good. I see. That's why I say Finch. She has never seen them. It's awful. Like it's a miracle. Sometimes I've said we survived the '90s. Like I am shocked. Like I don't know how we actually. What would you even call that? I don't even know. Like it was literally the emo goth. It was the emo goth episode of South Park, and I don't know who came in later. Yeah, no, I mean you'd be surprised. People go, "Oh, '90s, we had crap."
I'm I'm gonna send you a link to the school.
Yeah,
I trust you enough.
I'm
So
not gonna show it. Add story or information.
mm,
I'm still sitting on like something I want to cover with Tony, but I can't do it. Oh yeah, it's a miracle we survived the '90s. I'm like, you would be shocked. Like, it was who was that? I'm like, it is pretty much.
so I sent it to you. You can check it out. There's like you'll see some photos of like people and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the counseling page, there's there's one counselor that talks about race.
Oh no. Do you even remember them? Oh, those were worse. You know Jinkos were a fad back in the day, too.
I will say, yes, the school is more art oriented. I actually took college art classes there. But yeah, we had dance and stuff, and we had the gay ballerina people, you know.
Oh, wow. So you didn't have the actual good Jinko jeans that were baggy? No. My favorite, though, there was always one in every single school. I can tell you, I can literally tell you, it'd be so funny if you could actually, it was bad, you could actually walk behind these people and trip them. I wish I could find the actual images of them. You would go around and you would trip them. You would trip them.
They may have put in a dress code, so they might not look as slutty as they used to, but they're not going to show that on their site.
Oh,
I'd have to go through my Instagram.
Ugh.
That I deleted so many
You know what's
things.
funny? If you ever see these, like they were almost like this, but they have the straps that people would across it. Like I do the ones who had it, they were similar to this. I wish I could show it. They were at Spencer's and Hot Topic, and you'd be halfway tempted to trip them, but
Hot Topic was like the place to go for me. I still have a ring for.
oof,
I have a dragon necklace. I went through an emo-ish phase. I
it's
went through an e-boy.
amazing we survived. Aw. You used to skateboard in those? Oh no. Poor Finch. No. No. I feel old at this point. A lot of that.
I
You know
can't.
what's-
Some
It is
it just
funny, by the way, Romeo, when they say people in the 90s we weren't accepting, we were always like, we didn't really see race in the 90s. That's why it's funny. A lot of millennial couples have a very high, like, biracial couple rate for a generation. And
yeah.
ironically, we didn't see it. Then the election of Barack Obama happened, and we don't know what happened since. Oh no! I guess I'll have to show it. Okay, I have to do it. I have to find it. Oh
The
no!
person that you or the pants that you showed, there is this person at the school who wore those, but she had or they had or no, he had green hair. And I asked them one day, I said, "Do you think asexuality should be on the what is it called? LGBTQ thing?" And they were like, "No." I was like, "Okay. Doesn't make sense."
Okay, I'm gonna show you something horrifying. He said to show this. Okay. Have you ever seen Jinko jeans? The really, really bad ones.
Oh, we kind of isn't there like
I'm
a
be surprised if those survived. Oh, you know what's funny? I still have my Jinko shorts. I don't get rid of them, but dang. Ah, he doesn't know.
I've
How
seen
do
people with those. So
what the vintage ones or the original?
the original, but they put a crop top with it and then a gold chain necklace and then like 2 cross earrings.
No, to be fair, by the way, the original like Jinko jeans are probably worth money. But like older Levi's, if you can still get any. Yes, they did. Yes, they absolutely did. Limp Biscuit. Uh, freaking hell, like all the way to the 90s. But yeah, there won't be a problem with that. We're going to talk to you on Discord and all. But yes, but tomorrow I am going to be doing. Nope. I know. Actually, I realized. You know what's funny? In high school, I was in 90s. I was the cargo pants person with the Oiler shoes, the dress casual. That was actually me. Cargo, like to this day, I am still a cargo pants or cargo shorts person. Quite literally. I'm not. It's not the cringe hipster style either, right? Finch, not Finch or like Romeo, right? It's the cargo pockets. That's how I dress. Quite honestly. But, but I will see people tomorrow. I will have a special episode because I'm going to have to do that tonight. I'm going to be. We'll have Gray tomorrow afternoon doing. We are going to discuss the new episode of X-Men as well as Roadhouse. I may actually cut this up. I don't know. But I'll catch though. I'm probably going to cut this into 2. So.
Sorry, the thing is my phone has a back button and every time like even if I press it to get out of like the UI, it takes me out sometimes.
No, but what I mean, I never did Heely shoes, right? I just wore like the Oiler shoes, like Skechers back in the day. Like, that was mine. Like, to be fair, like 90s dress casual was a thing. To be fair, like, that's what we did.
Did you know that during the early 2000s Heelys came like back or mid and so when I was younger I had a pair.
That was the thing. To be fair, oh, you're talking about Heelys? No. Oh God, Heely shoes. Yeah, no. I'm gonna watch the new. I haven't heard really bad about the new Roadhouse though, but I'll probably break this episode into 2, and then you know what I say. I think next week I'm gonna figure it out because it's funny to just pick on Dane once in a blue moon because he's an idiot, but like it is still painful. But yeah, X-Men 97. Eventually, Gray. We're gonna cover Shogun. So Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch the old one, then watch the new one. I'm going to. Apparently, Gray loved it. So
I know this Cynical Finch. They said that I could join a Discord. What's
I
it
gave
called?
you the Discord link.
Oh, that one, the Katie whatever.
Kidda, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm on there then. I just don't talk on there.
To be fair, a lot of ours are that way. Most of
Well,
us are never there unless. Do you realize most of us are never there unless we are there?
I will say there's a lot of rules.
Well, the thing about it is, right, it's not a gated community. To be honest, usually one person shows up and we have a room full of people. Half the time it looks dead.
Yeah, I've noticed that in some ways.
It's usually someone's there or we do. It's passerby. It's like my.
I'm
But yeah,
used to smaller Discords, like
but
some
yeah,
temp.
I'll. But so tomorrow I have that. I mean, I need to get Gray to watch and cover Shogun, but he's way too busy. But
Grace sounds like an interesting person. I'll have to. Well, I don't have their Discord, but
oh, you're never going to get a hold of him.
oh, he's that kind of person.
Well, I don't mind sharing the inside joke. We all know this. Get to coordinate with Gray, you have to nag him for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, and maybe he'll get back to you.
So you have to spam him.
Pretty much.
I'd probably get blocked.
No. He's really bad at communications.
I can feel that. Are you trying to end the stream? Should I stop talking?
Oh, I'll be fine. But I will see people tomorrow afternoon. But Gray's a friend though. But we will. Should be tomorrow afternoon. I'll put the link out. I have to watch the new episode of X-Men, and then I'm gonna watch Roadhouse. Look, I was gonna make Gray Finch. I was gonna make him review the magical movie.
Oh, that one that just like came out. The one we
It's
can't say.
been out for a while, Romeo.
Is it really bad as people say? Isn't it supposed to be like a satire movie?
Okay. It's meant to be satire, but it's not satire. It looks like a dumpster fire. It is so bad. Not even pirate sites in Europe. Arch couldn't even find it on a pirate site in Europe. I have found a site I could watch it. I could have watched it for like the last 2 months.
It came out in theaters near me, I think.
I would not pay to see it.
Me, is it a satire film?
It's worse.
So it's okay. This is the big question. Did people of African descent enjoy it?
Have you ever seen the trailer for it?
Yeah, and it looked like shit.
He jokes about collecting. You remember how bad the trailer was? It's not even a paradox. It's worse. But anyways, I may just okay. Before I go, I have to ask you, Finch. What's a worse movie? Society or Damsel? I don't know. If he answers that, I'd be shocked. What's the worst one? Society is worse than damsel? Okay, I guess it's bar. Well, I guess that is it. Okay. Yeah, that is true. It is probably worse. But yeah, that'll be tomorrow. I will let people go. So, and I will see. Okay. I wouldn't call it magic. It's worse. But I will see people tomorrow. So Lee, keep that notice up in that. I think I'm going to do gaming streams next week. So it's all good. So
Like and subscribe to this person over here.
I know I have my own, but it's eventually got to grow out of my own group. But yes, Gray agreed tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to win him over eventually, but tomorrow afternoon, and I will put the link up in the right places, and I will send it. Alrighty, have see you people later.